Chapter 876. Sir Saberbeard, with the death of my chief, we are without a leader. I must ask Sir Saberbeard to remember our old relationship and help me. Xian Tianshun complained tearfully while wiping his snot and tears. A strange smile spilled from the corner of Saberbeard's mouth as he nodded. Yes, I have come today to help you. Xian Tianshun was overjoyed. Sir Saberbeard, do you have any good ideas? Saberbeard laughed strangely. Yes, there's a good way to get things done once and for all. Xian Tianshun did not doubt him. Please enlighten me. Tianshun, your boss is already dead. Sooner or later your Xian clan will be the meat in the bowl of the Qin clan. My intention today is simple. I am here to help Brother Tianwen send you guys off. I will let your Xian clan reunite at the underworld. Rather than being destroyed by the Qin clan, I would rather do it. Brother Tianwen asked me to do this in a dream. I must do it. Xian Tianshun turned pale with fright. Saberbeard, sir, are you joking? Saberbeard's expression sank. Am I not serious enough? Xian Tianshun's heart tightened as he realized that something was wrong. He slanted his body and left in a flash. Saberbeard let out an evil grin. You think you can leave? Along the way, he grabbed with his claws and teeth and grabbed Xian Tianshun's body directly. With just a squeeze, Xian Tianshun's body became badly mutilated and blood spurted everywhere. As soon as the divine soul escaped, Saberbeard opened his mouth and swallowed Xian Tianshun's divine soul directly. He chewed a few times and swallowed it into his stomach with a crunching sound. The powerful Transformation Supreme Tao elite warrior Xian Tianshun had his body destroyed in one move, and his divine soul was swallowed. With Xian Tianshun's death, the Xian clan did not have any elite warriors. Saberbeard charged back and forth a few times and slaughtered all the elite warriors of the Xian clan. As he looked at those little characters fleeing in all directions, Saberbeard did not let any of them go. He let out all the sealed beast souls and chased them everywhere. The entire upper sect of the Xian clan was sealed by Saberbeard's powerful divine power. It had turned into a slaughterhouse where people fought until the sky turned dark. During the Heavenly Emperor competition, Saberbeard had lent the sealed beast souls he had obtained from the southern border to the Xian clan. Other than the two that were killed by Qin Wushuang, there were still a few left. Therefore, it saved him a lot of trouble when he chased after the shrimp soldiers and crab generals. The sealed beast souls were the most destructive and powerful existences that hunted down and killed humans. In one day and one night, they had killed every single person in the headquarters of the Xian clan. This massacre could be said to be a bloodbath. Not a single one of the tens of thousands of disciples at the Xian clan's headquarters managed to escape. It was apparent how terrifying the divine beasts were. A few sealed beast souls, plus Saberbeard at the third calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage were enough to annihilate the Xian clan. From this, one could see how terrifying the beast race was. Soon, news of this massacre spread across the entire Xianyuan Mount. The Xian clan was annihilated. The Xian clan that had been passed down for tens and thousands of years was destroyed in less than half a month after Xian Tianwen's death. Naturally, the outside world was shocked. All guesses pointed to the Qin clan. However, the Qin clan had sufficient evidence. All the elite warriors of the Qin clan had never left the aspiring Throne Mountain from the Mountain Gate. Many sects that were guests at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain could testify. This way, the guesses of the annihilation of the Xian clan became even more heated. Some people said that although the Qin clan did not make a move themselves, they must have sent elite warriors to do in secret. Some people also said that it was done by the totem elite warriors for the controller of the god Discarding Door. Some even said that it was the work of the controller of the god Discarding Door. How could an ordinary person do such a thing? How could they trap all disciples of the Xian clan and kill them all? Qin Wushuang did not put these guesses in his mind at all. However, he was secretly laughing. It seemed that this Saberbeard divine beast was extremely eager for the god Discarding Door. He would not hesitate to turn against the Xian clan to offer this proof of allegiance. Only, Even if this saber-beard offered 10 proofs of allegiance, Qin Wushuang would not give him this spot. It was because deep in Qin Wushuang's bones, he hated Saberbeard. He was on guard against this capricious, vicious beast. Thinking of the instructions of the chasing cloud beast before he left, and seeing how Saberbeard had destroyed the Xian clan so decisively, certainly it would be a great disaster to keep such a two-faced, vicious beast that could turn hostile at any time. Not to mention, Qin Wushuang did not even want to keep him. Initially, when Saberbeard accompanied Xian Tianwen to attack the Qin clan, Qin Wushuang had already made up his mind to kill Saberbeard. Indeed, on the third day after the annihilation of the Xian clan, Saberbeard came to the aspiring Throne Mountain again. When he arrived at the territory of the aspiring Throne Mountain, Saberbeard was beaming with happiness. When he saw Qin Wushuang, he laughed. "Head Chief Qin, look what I brought you." He threw Xian Tianqian's severed head to him casually. Without even looking at it, Qin Wushuang gave a snort and swept away the head with his sleeve. Such a filthy thing dares to tarnish the mountain gate of the Qin clan? Saberbeard, you are the enemy of the Qin clan. What are you doing here? Saberbeard was stunned. "Head Chief Qin, this is Xian Tianqian's head. Isn't it what you want?" Qin Wushuang raised his brow. "Xian Tianqian, this way, you are responsible for the annihilation of the Xian clan? Isn't it me? How about it? Did I do it beautifully?" Saberbeard was all smiles and appeared incredibly proud. He was extremely satisfied with his ruthlessness. Qin Wushuang shouted, "Good Saberbeard, so the murderer of the Xian clan is you. Someone come, surround him." Surrounding the aspiring Throne Mountain, countless supreme Dao elite warriors immediately poured out like the tide and surrounded Saberbeard before the mountain gate of the Qin clan. Saberbeard's gaze turned cold. "Qin Wushuang, you schemed against me?" Qin Wushuang said with a cold snort. "Saberbeard, initially when you came to the Qin clan, I pretended to be polite and courteous. I wanted to lure you to come to the mountain gate of the Qin clan again and take you down. I let you go that day because I did not set up the inescapable net. Today, let's see where you can escape to." Instantly, Saberbeard was stupefied. As he looked at Qin Wushuang's strange smile, he realized that he had been played by Qin Wushuang. He had been played ruthlessly. "Qin Wushuang, you win. You asked me to present a proof of allegiance. Clearly you wanted me to annihilate the Xian clan. Now, you are pretending to be awe-inspiring with righteousness. You are harboring unfathomable motives." Saberbeard cried out with a hoarse voice. Yet, he glanced around and started a search for a breakthrough point. Today, he had fallen into a tight encirclement. Besides the Xian clan, 7 of the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates had come. Clearly, they had opened the cloth bag and waited for him to deliver himself to them. Qin Wushuang said with a cold sneer, "I was bluffing you to stabilize you. Besides, I only said to present a proof of allegiance. I did not instruct you to kill people of the Xian clan. Despite the Xian clan's thousands of wrongdoings, those are grudges of the past. Now, the Xian clan is a member of the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates. How could an outsider kill one of them? Even if the Xian clan had committed some crimes, only the Heavenly Emperor Gate would have the authority to carry out this punitive expedition. Who do you think you are, Saberbeard, to dare to use punishment for personal reasons?" Although Qin Wushuang spoke with a strong sense of righteousness, he was secretly laughing on the inside. Qin Wushuang would be incredibly happy to annihilate the Xian clan. It would save him a lot of effort. He could kill with a borrowed knife and destroy the knife at the same time. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Why not? Saberbeard was at a loss for words. Now, thinking back, Qin Wushuang's words at that time did leave a lot of leeway. He did not ask him to kill people of the Xian clan. "Qin Wushuang, you are despicable. You are bluffing me." Qin Wushuang said with a cold sneer, "If I did not bluff you, how could I let you, a divine bee spy of the southern border, get executed?" Saberbeard, everyone knows that you are a spy of the Heavenly Fire Southern Border Bees clans. Now, you have come to my Xian Yuan mound to curry favor. Your intentions are punishable. If I don't kill you, how could I face the heavenly law? Qin Wushuang, you are slandering me. How could I be a spy of the southern border? Saber-Beard roared angrily. If you are not a spy of the southern border, how could you have found the immemorial temple of the southern border so easily and bewitched Xi and Tianwen to go against the tide? Qin Wushuang's reasoning was sufficient. Step by step, he would confirm Saber-Beard's crime. Only in this way, he could kill him with a strong sense of righteousness. It was easy to kill with one's fists. However, to kill in a righteous manner and pull up the banner of justice, it would be easier and more confident to kill him. Saber-Beard cried out angrily, "Despicable, despicable villain!" Qin Wushuang's expression sank. Set up the formation. The 9 golem puppets immediately set up the formation. Once again, they activated the 9 palace return 1 sword formation and surrounded Saber-Beard from below. Then, they started to attack. Saber-Beard had witnessed the power of this 9 palace return 1 sword formation. Once he fell into it, it would be enough for him to suffer. He roared angrily, "Qin Wushuang, you are powerful. Remember, for this debt, I will let your blood flow like a river and pile up corpses like a mountain." Qin Wushuang said coldly, "Then let's see if you have a skill to escape today. If you cannot escape, it's useless to talk big." When he said here, Qin Wushuang pulled the yin-yang nature blade in his hand and called out, "Heads of the Zhu family, this time, the Qin clan invited you guys to surround this vicious beast, a spy from the southern border. You don't need to charge and break through the enemy lines. You only need to help the Qin clan defend the important positions. Watch us kill this villain." While he spoke, Qin Wushuang already called out with the yin-yang nature blade. The strange blade set off a giant wave and cut the sky into 2 halves. As long as one wasn't careful and fell down, they would be completely lost in the infinite void and be destroyed by the laws of space. Saber-Beard was on par with Xi and Tianwen in terms of strength. Initially, when Xi and Tianwen could not defeat Qin Wushuang, naturally Saber-Beard was also struggling. He resisted the power of the 9 palace return 1 sword formation with great effort. At the same time, he chanted and a burst of talisman light dashed to the sky. It transformed into nothingness and disappeared in the air. Saber-Beard laughed. "Qin Wushuang, I already reported my situation, my master. If you kill me today, I dare to guarantee that your aspiring throne mountain will also be razed to the ground." Qin Wushuang said with a cold sneer, "I have heard many threats. You are not the first, and you will not be the last." Saber-Beard, today, even if you have a glib tongue, you will not escape death. Saber-Beard said angrily, "Qin Wushuang, are you not afraid of death? What's so scary about death? Death is inevitable for everyone." Saber-Beard, you are afraid of death, but it does not mean that I, Qin Wushuang, am as afraid of death as you. Additionally, I don't care who your master is and what intentions he has for entering the god-discarding door. You are not skilled enough to play tricks before the Qin clan. Saber-Beard was continuously terrified. Sooner or later you will regret it. Qin Wushuang, you cannot kill me. You cannot kill me. However, since Qin Wushuang was determined to kill him, how could he have the slightest hesitation? To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please log on to www.qitian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 877. Saber-Beard was trapped tightly by the 9 golem puppets. Qin Wushuang did not hold back his yin-yang nature blade as he kept greeting him. It forced Saber-Beard into a difficult situation and made it difficult for him to resist. Under such powerful siege, it was impossible for Saber-Beard to turn the situation around despite his skills. He could only retreat in defeat. He knew that if he were to make any more plans, he would lose his life at the aspiring throne mountain. With a long hiss, suddenly, a strange blue light overflowed from Saber-Beard's body. His entire body was surrounded by a layer of blue halo. On the surface of the halo, countless star-like characters sparkled like tadpoles cruising on it. At this moment, Saber-Beard mumbled, "The sky is dark and the earth is yellow. The universe is desolate. I beg my master, worship me, greedy wolf." Before he finished speaking this series of strange words, Saberbeard's body transformed into a burst of blue light. Ignoring the rules of space, he disappeared without a trace. For this change, not to mention Qin Wushuang being dumbstruck, even those supreme Dao elite warriors who planned to attack Saberbeard covetously did not have the slightest reaction. He left. Bao Bao still felt somewhat confused. Qin Wushuang revealed a slightly solemn expression as he looked at the place where the blue light had disappeared. He put away the 9 golem puppets and stood for a moment before nodding thoughtfully. This blue light escape technique was somewhat similar to the Heaven Escape book he had used previously. It was a forceful divine skill to open up a path in the void to escape without a trace. It was the use of the space rules. The Heaven Escape book was something that only existed in the 7 Deadly Arrays formation. According to Qin Wushuang's speculation, the owner of the 7 Deadly Arrays formation was definitely not someone from the Tianxian land. Therefore, most likely the Heaven Escape book was not something from the Tianxian land. It was not that the elite warriors of the Tianxian land did not know how to use similar space rules, but they would not be this powerful. Boss, what's going on? That Saberbeard is somewhat strange. Even Bao Bao, who was thick-headed, felt something was wrong. This Saberbeard divine beast has a somewhat strange background. It just said something about a master, but I don't know who that is. Qin Wushuang was a little worried, but he didn't show it. Qin Wushuang was a person with strong intuition. After seeing Saberbeard's strange behavior, Qin Wushuang felt that Saberbeard had a complicated background. His target was obviously the god discarding door. Just where did he come from? Totem clan? Saberbeard did not look like he was loyal to the Xian Yuan totem. If he was loyal to the totem clan, there was no need for Saberbeard to take such a long detour and seek a spot to enter the god discarding door from the Qin clan. If it wasn't the strength of a totem, it would be even stranger. The top of the Tianxian land was the totem powerhouse. There were also some super experts who lived in seclusion. Could it be that the owner of Saberbeard was one of those hidden elite warriors, someone like Senior Li Bai? Qin Wushuang's mind was in a fog, but he didn't think too much about it. Now, he even doubted whether Saberbeard was looking for him for the god discarding door or the 7 Deadly Arrays formation. After the battle with Saberbeard, the other 6 gates of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain were more or less panicked when they learned that Saberbeard had killed the Xian clan. Although they knew that it was most likely an excuse for Qin Wushuang to accuse Saberbeard of being a spy from the southern border, they were still restraining their fear to this strange divine beast. Everyone, this Saberbeard has a strange background. He has great ambitions. If I have the chance, I will report this matter to the Totem clan and ask them to make a decision. Yes. I don't think this Saberbeard is a good person. Initially, he only wanted to use Xian Tianwen. That's right, for such a vicious beast of unknown origin, we must be vigilant. Your Majesty, with the Xian clan destroyed, how should we deal with the empty spot? Qin Wushuang said lightly. We will discuss this later. I will go to the Totem clan first. Being the Heavenly Emperor, naturally he was qualified to talk to the Xian Yuan Totem clan. Although he did not get along well with the Xian Yuan clan, discord was discord. The general situation was the general situation. Qin Wushuang was not the type to ignore the general situation. Indeed, the Xian Yuan clan was annoyed by Qin Wushuang. If it were in the past, he would have been killed on the spot for contradicting the paramount totem elite warriors. However, this Qin Wushuang had Li Bai supporting him. The Totem clan only tolerated him for fear of breaking the vases. When they heard that Qin Wushuang had come to seek an audience, and Li Bai was no longer at the Xian Yuan mound, they wanted to use this opportunity to humiliate Qin Wushuang. Unexpectedly, Qin Wushuang did not give them a chance. He went straight to the point and presented the situation. Saberbeard had slaughtered the entire Xian clan. Indeed, this news was enlightening to the apathetic. It made Xian Yuan Yang feel his mouth was dry. Especially Saberbeard's strange performance at the aspiring throne mountain, it made Xian Yuan Yang's brows tremble. Xian Yuan Yang frowned slightly, and after a moment of thinking, he said, Qin Wushuang, for this matter, you did a good job. Unfortunately, You let that saber beard escape. This divine beast has been in my Xianyuan mound for a few thousand years. I always felt that he was somewhat strange. I didn't expect that there was someone directing him from behind the scenes. Qin Wushuang already conveyed the message. How the Xianyuan clan will treat him is your business. Under such circumstances, of course Qin Wushuang would not ask too much to avoid asking for a snub. On the contrary, Xianyuan Wei asked, "Chief, who do you think is the person directing him from behind the scenes? Could it be the Fire God clan of the southern border, or the Farmer God clan?" Xianyuan Yang shook his head slowly. None of them. The two totem clans of the southern border have many spots to enter the mysterious door. Why would they come to the Xianyuan mound to take a spot? It's unreasonable. I suspect that this saber-beard is not a subordinate of the totem clan, but someone else. Qin Wushuang could not help but feel somewhat impressed. This judgment happened to coincide with his own. It would not be an exaggeration to say that great minds think alike. Not the totem clan? Xianyuan Wei was somewhat confused. Besides the totem clan, who else could direct him? Besides, who would have the guts to go against the totem clan? Xianyuan Ba said with a bitter smile, "It could not be those controllers, right? It can't be the controllers. The controllers control everything in the Tianxian land. They don't need to do such boring things." Xianyuan Yang said with a bitter smile. Since this was not the case, and that was not the case, everyone was somewhat confused. As Qin Wushuang listened to their answers, he was also pondering inwardly. However, he understood the situation and did not speak a word. Since he had questions, he would ask Senior Li Bai for guidance. "Qin Wushuang, you should return to the aspiring Throne Mountain first. Take good care of the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. After a round of internal friction, the power of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain has been greatly weakened. You must increase your power." This time, Xianyuan Yang did not mention the past, but gave him a few words of encouragement. Of course, Qin Wushuang had to act on the surface. He said his goodbyes and left. Inside the Xianyuan clan, when everyone saw Qin Wushuang leave, their expression immediately changed. "Head Chief, could this Qin Wushuang have piled up lies to trick the totem clan?" Xianyuan Xiao was the first one to raise the question. Xianyuan Wei agreed greatly. "That's right. This Qin Wushuang even dared to contradict you. I think it's possible that he is deliberately making up lies." Xianyuan Ba said with a bitter smile, "I don't think this kid is deliberately making up lies. I observe this kid. He is arrogant to the bone, yet he would not make up lies. Besides, if he were to make up lies, the Yun clan and the great second sect would not lie with him." Xianyuan Yang nodded slowly. "Junior Brother Ba is right. Qin Wushuang will not lie about this matter. If there is any exaggeration, for sure he will talk too much." After he finished speaking, he did not speak a word. Clearly, he did not want to worry too much about this matter, and planned to give this hot potato to the totem clan. "This kid is so cunning," Xianyuan Wei said angrily. "If Li Bai wasn't supporting him, I would have abolished his heavenly emperor position." Xianyuan Yang said indifferently, "Humph, he is young and does not know how to restrain himself. Sooner or later something will happen to him. If he is too arrogant, it's easy for the heavens to be jealous. The god discarding door is a narrow escape. The more arrogant he is, the more miserable he will die. Since ancient times, has there been a lack of geniuses in the Tianxian land? After the god discarding door is opened, most of the geniuses with arrogance will not have a good death." Xianyuan Ba said worriedly. "Head Chief, from Li Bai's tone, it seems the situation of the Tianxian land is getting worse." When everyone heard these words, they felt apprehensive. Instantly, their expression became solemn. Compared to the matter mentioned by Li Bai, Qin Wushuang's trivial matter was not worth mentioning. Xianyuan Yang gave a long sigh. Now the Tianxian land is truly in a mess. Inside, the Golden Crow is wreaking havoc. Outside, the foreign tribes are eyeing covetously. Could it be that in the end, the tens and thousands of years of inheritance of the Tianxian land will fall into the hands of the foreign tribes? Being the paramount totem elite warrior at any time, Xin Yuanyang could be said to be high-spirited, authoritative, and insufferably arrogant. Yet now his tone was incredibly bleak and filled with a form of helpless despair. The other totem elite warriors also revealed a face full of fear. Xian Yuan Ba could not help but ask, "Head Chief, aren't those controllers working hard? Could it be that even they are at their wits' end?" Don't look at how the totem clan was high and mighty at the Tianxian land. At this moment, each of their fear was no less than those in the secular world. Everyone, don't let your imagination run wild. Focus and wait for the god discarding door to open. If there are special fortuitous opportunities this time, perhaps the fate of the Tianxian land will turn around. On the contrary, we will see where the fate of the Tianxian land will go. Xian Yuanyang revealed a trace of forced smile and instructed, "You guys, guard the door with peace of mind. I must hurry to the endless eastern sea. It's my turn to be on duty. That golden crow is truly abominable. If Li Bai and the others were to step out, perhaps they could suppress it." Suddenly, Xin Yuan Ba said, "Head Chief, do you think that Saberbeard is related to the golden crow? Hasn't the origin of that golden crow always been a mystery?" A strange light flashed across Xian Yuanyang's eyes as he revealed a thoughtful expression. He did not think about this question. Xian Yuan Ba's words had awakened him from his dream. When he placed such a possibility before him, it was something worth pondering deeply. Golden Crow, Saberbeard? Were there any connections between these two? Again, Xian Yuanyang frowned. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chitian.com. More chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 878. Due to the annihilation of the Xian clan, naturally, there was an empty spot. Being the Heavenly Emperor, initially Qin Wushuang had a spot to banish. This spot should have been used on the Xian clan, yet now the Xian clan was annihilated. In terms of relationship, the Floating Snow House, Misty Sword Sect, 100 Lane Clan, and Thousand Feather Sect were all trusted powerhouses and would not be banished. For the other two sects, the Yun and Qin clan were old friends. At this sensitive time, the Qin clan would not make a move against the Yun clan. In fact, the Great Second Gate was the most likely to be banished. In fact, the Great Second Gate was definitely on tenterhooks during this time. They were more or less regretful. Although they defeated the mysterious Reform Gate and seized a spot, the Xian clan had been annihilated. However, from the current situation, the Xian clan was already annihilated. If the Heavenly Emperor Qin clan were to carry out this authority, certainly the Great Second Gate would be the only choice. They regretted rejecting the Qin clan's persuasion and joining the Yun clan, although the result was good as they defeated the mysterious Reform Gate. In the end, the Qin clan seized the Heavenly Emperor's seat. This way, naturally their performance of rejecting the Qin clan would most likely become the subject of ridicule. Although the Great Second Gate was regretful, they were at a loss for what to do. They could only wait in fear. When the final result came out, Qin Wushuang gave up this banishment spot. He maintained the current situation of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. At the same time, he sent out the order for all sects to work together to build the general situation of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain and strengthen the heroic spirit of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Immediately, Qin Wushuang's move won countless praise. It made the entire Great Second Gate blush with shame. As for the spot of the Xian clan, the Qin clan would slowly review it. Of course, the final decision would still be in the hands of the Heavenly Emperor. Of course, Qin Wushuang would not take care of everything himself. Instead, he gave this matter to Qin Yunran and Qin Chongyang. Qin Yunran was still the same as before the war. He visited everywhere to get to know all the qualified sects and understand their character and loyalty. In the end, Qin Yunran finalized a few spots and handed it to Qin Wushuang to review. When Qin Wushuang saw the 3 words Mysterious Reform Gate, he could not refrain from revealing a trace of a smile. Yunran, the leader of this mysterious Reform Gate, found by Li Guang and Luo Baiyu a few days ago and asked them to plead for mercy. Clearly, the mysterious Reform Gate was extremely regretful of their decision back then. The mysterious Reform Gate was originally on the same side as the 100 Lane clan and the Thousand Crane sect. The 100 Lane clan and the Thousand Feather sect had sought refuge with the Qin clan. However, the mysterious Reform Gate clung to their own course and believed that the Qin clan was unreliable. They did not seek refuge with the Qin clan. In the end, they were eliminated by extreme celestial sect. Now that they saw the Bailey family and the Thousand Feather sect doing well and were highly regarded by the Heavenly Emperor Gate, the mysterious Reform Gate could be said to be extremely regretful. The mysterious Reform School found their former allies and begged them with tears and snot. Only then did they manage to get by Li Guang and Luo Baiyu to help them. Initially, the mysterious Reform Gate was a powerhouse among the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates. Thus, they had a strong foundation. In fact, their strength was not inferior to the extreme celestial sect. However, the extreme celestial sect had been taken care of by the Yun clan, which allowed them to defeat them. If they could rely on the giant tree known as the Qin clan, the mysterious Reform Gate would be fully qualified to regain their position. Qin Wushuang did not close the door. Instead, he asked by Li Guang and Luo Baiyu to tell the leader of the mysterious Reform Gate what kind of qualifications he must accept in order to rely on the Qin clan. Naturally, the mysterious Reform Gate did not have the slightest consideration. They only wished to return to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain and had no time to care about anything else. This way, naturally, this substitute spot fell into the hands of the mysterious Reform Gate. As for the other sects, it was already an extra joy for them to rely on the Qin clan. They would not dare to ask for too much to sit among the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates. They would not dare to question the Qin clan's decision. Of course, Qin Wushuang also used some of his personal power to make some small adjustments to the location of the mountain gate. Of course, there was a purpose behind these adjustments. It was not wrong to say that he was using his power for personal gain. However, when he used this little bit of power, of course others could not say anything. Qin Wushuang adjusted the empty territory of the Xian clan to the Murong clan of the Floating Snow House. The heavenly punishing villa that the Murong clan had replaced was given to the extreme celestial sect. The mysterious Reform Gate would still be their own mountain gate. For such arrangement, no one had the slightest objection. Naturally, when the extreme celestial sect acquired the mountain gate of the heavenly punishing villa, it would be better than the mysterious Reform Gate. Since the mysterious Reform Gate had acquired an extra spot, they were not qualified to bargain. It was a matter of course to return the mountain gate that originally belonged to them. Naturally, the mysterious Reform Gate could only accept it. It was an unexpected joy for the Floating Snow House to acquire the territory of the Xian clan. The Xian clan was one of the 3 major sects on par with the Qin clan and the Yun clan. Regardless of the scale of the mountain gate, the terrain, the underground spiritual ley lines, and the mechanisms of the mountain gate, they were much better than the heavenly punishing villa. Regarding Qin Wushuang's arrangement, no one had anything to say. Murong Qianji was the father-in-law of the Heavenly Emperor. With this relationship, he was destined to receive extra care from the Heavenly Emperor. In this aspect, no one would get jealous. The Yun clan also seemed to know their own position, as they did not step out to say anything. Instead, they obeyed resolutely. Certainly, they also realized that the Yun clan could not stop the power of the Qin clan. Additionally, with the Qin clan in charge, the Yun and Qin clan could definitely coexist peacefully. Although the Qin clan was domineering, they were not as unreasonable as the Xian clan. The Yun clan was rather gentle and had the temperament of a benevolent person. At this moment, of course they would display their style. After Qin Wushuang had stabilized the situation at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, he started to train in solitary training. From a battle with Xian Tian 1, Qin Wushuang gained a lot. Vividly, he grasped the signs of the 8th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. After 3 months of solitary training, Qin Wushuang successfully passed the 8th calamity. He advanced towards the path of the 9th calamity. Once he passed the 9th calamity, he he would be at the genuine supreme Tao stage. At the Tianxian land, the genuine supreme Tao stage belonged to the top existence. It belonged to the peak of this world. Qin Wushuang's martial arts training path had always pursued one peak after another. Currently, he had touched the edge of the peak. He must pass the ninth calamity in one spurt of energy. He must enter the genuine supreme Tao stage. Once he entered the genuine supreme Tao stage, he would be qualified to explore the seventh loop of the seven deadly arrays formation. Qin Wushuang yearned for that seventh loop greatly. He knew that the seventh loop was the ultimate core of the seven deadly arrays formation, the foundation of the entire formation. The fortune of the first 6 loops already made Qin Wushuang feel incredulous. Naturally, Qin Wushuang longed for the fortuitous opportunity of the 7th loop. Ever since he witnessed Li Bai's skills, Qin Wushuang knew that the genuine supreme Tao stage was definitely not an unsurpassable peak. Judging from Senior Li Bai's strength, he should have surpassed the limit of the genuine supreme Tao stage. However, for tens and thousands of years, it was said that no one in the Tianxian land could soar to the Galaxia and enter the heavenly supreme Tao stage. Therefore, Qin Wushuang even doubted how old that Senior Li Bai was and how monstrous his true strength was. One point was without a doubt. Although he was awe-inspiring when he was elected as the Heavenly Emperor, compared to Li Bai, he was insignificant. Li Bai could kill Xian Tianwen instantly without moving the tip of his finger. Although he was a little stronger than Xian Tianwen, he only relied on the puppet sword formation. If he were to face an elite warrior at the same level as Li Bai, he would not even have the chance to resist. It was similar to an ant encountering a giant monster. Such fatal difference in strength had always been the best motivation for Qin Wushuang to train. Although Senior Li Bai was a friend and not an enemy, Qin Wushuang was always a strong person. He did not wish that in the world he was in, someone could surpass him and crush him to death. Qin Wushuang had enough of the feeling of having his fate in the hands of others. 5 years had passed in a hurry. This time, Qin Wushuang had been in solitary training for more than 5 years. Almost 6 years. This time, his harvest was that he had broken through the test of the 9th calamity and advanced to the genuine supreme Tao stage successfully. The 9th calamity of the transformation supreme Tao stage was a hurdle that countless martial artists could not pass. Although Qin Wushuang had astonishing talent and possessed all kinds of miraculous tools, as well as divine weapons to pass the 9th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage, he still spent some effort on that 9th calamity of the transformation supreme Tao stage. Qin Wushuang's monstrous speed had made Qin Shaotian gasp in admiration. Inwardly, he felt even more reassured. With a head chief like Qin Wushuang, how could the Qin clan not prosper? Currently, Qin Wushuang's monstrous level had even made the young disciples of the Xian Yuan clan deeply jealous. The strength of Bao Bao and the other divine beasts had also advanced by leaps and bounds. In these 5 or 6 years, they had all achieved significant breakthroughs. In these 5 years, the happiest thing was Murong Su's successful breakthrough into the supreme Tao stage. Initially, when Qin Wushuang sat on the Heavenly Emperor's seat, he proposed to hold the wedding to liven things up. The tenacity inside Mu Rongsu's heart was unleashed. She insisted that she would only marry Qin Wushuang when she broke into the supreme Tao stage and did not have any inner demons inside her heart. Such motivation allowed Mu Rongsu's breakthrough to become even more violent. Of course, those recuperate pearls and spiritual power source pearls given by Qin Wushuang were the major contributors behind Mu Rongsu's breakthrough. In the 3rd week after Mu Rongsu broke into the supreme Tao stage, the news of the Heavenly Emperor's wedding finally spread across the entire Xian Yuan land. In the name of the Heavenly Emperor Gate, Qin Wushuang invited all major powerhouses with whom he had some relationship. This included the Dragon Clan and those existences that were friends with Qin Wushuang. Fortunately, the Floating Snow House was already living in the territory of the Xian clan and had set up a foundation. This made the ceremony of Qin Wushuang, marrying Murong, so much easier and livelier. The Heavenly Emperor's wedding also startled all major forbidden spiritual zones. The Karakoram immortal clan of the Illusion Heavenly Lake had sent elite warriors to congratulate the newlyweds. The Golden Ray Dragon King of the Forefather Dragon Clan of the Endless Eastern Sea had personally written a congratulatory message and entrusted the elite warriors of the Forefather Dragon Clan to deliver it. This wedding was extraordinarily lively. Guests from all over almost broke the threshold of the aspiring throne mountain. Naturally, Qin Lianshan and Mu Rong Qianji, the two seniors, were greatly gratified. The guests from the Totem clan had a rather good standard. Just when Qin Wushuang was greeting everyone, a roaring laugh came from outside the door. "Head Chief Qin, I heard that you are getting married. I have come to congratulate you." This person was Li Bai. Initially, many people had seen his charming appearance and his methods. When they saw Li Bai appear, instantly the entire scene became silent. "Today, I ran for the entire day and only got home after 9 at night. Although I am tired, I must write 2 chapters. There will be one more in a moment. The situation has changed again. Haha. Everyone, let's wait and see. I will also recommend a book. Book title, Joyful Immortal Book Number 1896556. The introduction is as follows. Name, Chu Bai Identity. Martial artist at the middle stage of the Qi training stage, chief of the Four Wu sect, servant and cook personality. Greedy for money, overprotective, thick-skinned, passive black-bellied, Chu Bai. I am wronged, ideal. Cultivate and seek the Tao, reason. Afraid of death, poverty, and trouble. Wish. Marry the junior sister with remarkable abilities. Although she is only 8 months old, she is known as the #1 human-shaped treasure in the cultivation world. Note, milk powder is really expensive. Skill, make 1 million Go soldiers. Note, why are the 1 million Go soldiers raised by my family all delicate and tender beauties? And they love to rob and beat people in groups? To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 879. Li Bai did not want to be in the limelight. However, in today's situation, Li Bai knew that if he did not congratulate Qin Wushuang, most likely those restless thoughts in the dark would become active. If one were to say that Li Bai had only supported Qin Wushuang in secret, now it seemed that he was going to put it on the surface. Fortunately, Qin Lianshan and Mu Rong Qianji were in charge of receiving him, and the Supreme Tao elite warriors of the Qin clan were hosting. This time, Qin Wushuang did not need to work too hard. He only needed to be his bridegroom, happily. After the banquet was over, Li Bai walked before Qin Wushuang and said with a smile, "Little one, you don't mind if I take up some of your wedding time, right? Senior Li has helped me many times. I am endlessly grateful. I don't know what orders you have. Please tell me." Qin Wushuang respected Li Bai from the bottom of his heart. When Li Bai first appeared, Qin Wushuang did not have a good impression of him. He felt that he was a swindler who was extremely mischievous and cheated people for food and drinks. He also loved to pry into people's privacy. Thinking back, Qin Wushuang blushed with shame. He had played many tricks with Senior Li Bai. Perhaps at that time, he was extremely childish. "Ha, little one, are you thinking about the times when you met me?" Suddenly, a trace of mischievous light flashed across Li Bai's turbid eyes. Then, a faint smile emerged from the corner of his mouth. Clearly, despite his crazy appearance, this Li Bai had an extremely meticulous heart. It was as if he could see through people. Qin Wushuang smiled awkwardly. Only before Li Bai, Qin Wushuang felt that he did not have any psychological pressure. "Little one, are you curious about my identity?" Li Bai asked with a smile. "Ha, I always thought that you were a hidden elite warrior who disregarded the world. Now it seems that it's not the case." Li Bai laughed. "Why do you think so? If you're truly determined to be a hidden elite warrior, even if you love me and take care of me in the dark, you would not offend the Xianyuan clan. Since you have chosen to step out, you must have your reasons." Qin Wushuang's analysis made Li Bai admire him. That's right. This time I planned to put everything on the table. In the past, he would beat the drum by the side and give hints piecemeal. Sometimes it would not work at all. Wushuang, do you know? Ever since you first met me in the human countries, this old man has already noticed you. From you, I see something different. Your gaze is unruly, but it's not the kind of unruly like a pompous prodigal. Instead, it's a kind of pride behind a mature and steady look. That suits the old man's taste very well. It's not that there aren't many young people with pride, but most of them are blind and don't know what to do. When the other party, Qin Wushuang's, of course, he's his to praise. Or else, he would appear to be bragging. He listened attentively. Qin Wushuang knew that since Li Bai had stepped out and found him, he must have something important to tell him. Perhaps he would have the hope to unravel the mysteries of those things he had been curious about. Wushuang, ever since that time, I started to pay attention to your growth. I paid attention to your progress. Unexpectedly, you did not disappoint me. From the moment you formed a grudge with the Heavenly Lake Empire, until you defeated Xntian to a young man of the human countries, your growth is definitely a legend that cannot be replicated. Even in the entire Tianxian land, only a few people in history were able to achieve such remarkable results like you. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. This way, for the few times I encountered danger, did you help me solve my problems in secret? Li Bai shook his head. No, I never helped you directly. Unless you met an absolute elite warrior that you could not resist. The only time I stepped out was for that honored beast of the Amei Daoist sect. Of course, at other times, I also paved some paths for you in secret. For example, when you were exiled at the Endless Eastern Sea, I ordered the Totem Clan to not send people to kill you. I also saved your 2 senior brothers and gave the order to not enter the human countries. I helped you solve some of your worries. Qin Wushuang revealed a grateful expression. I felt strange at the time and guessed some of it. Indeed, it was your doing. Li Bai said with a smile. Of course, as an old man living in seclusion, I rarely appear in a few thousand years. Many people don't know about my existence. Sometimes my words don't work. Most likely, I could only find the paramount elite warriors of the 6 totem clans. For these guys, since their youth, I watched them grow. Now, although they have all become top elite warriors, honestly, not many can satisfy me. Li Bai's tone sounded somewhat helpless and bitter. Initially, the Totem Clan was the absolute peak of the Tianxian land. They were the hope of the land. Unfortunately, after being stagnant for tens and thousands of years, these Totem Clans have already lost the glory of the immemorial era. They only care about their own interests and fight for power. Very few figures with great foresight appear. 1,000 years ago, there was a golden cicada. In the end, he encountered the jealousy of the heavens. Upon hearing Li Bai talk about golden cicada, Qin Wushuang was somewhat astonished. The dead are already gone. Let's not talk about golden cicada. Wushuang, if I've guessed correctly, you should have inherited the 7 deadly arrays formation. When he said here, suddenly, Li Bai's gaze became profound as he stared at Qin Wushuang. Although Qin Wushuang was surprised inwardly, before Li Bai, he would not lie. He could not gather the courage to lie. Instead, he nodded unconsciously. Senior, you know about the 7 deadly arrays formation? Ha ha, for the 7 deadly arrays formation. Have you explored the 6th level? Qin Wushuang was even more surprised. Senior, you know all about it? Li Bai shook his head mysteriously. I only know part of it and not the rest. However, I can tell you that the owner of the 7 deadly arrays formation is also our master. Your master? Qin Wushuang was somewhat confused. Yes, perhaps you can say that he is our master or our teacher. That's what it means. Suddenly, Li Bai's tone became deep, as if he had remembered an extremely distant past. It was after the immemorial war between the gods. At that time, we were all young. We were taken in as disciples by Li Xianfeng, the owner of the 7 deadly arrays formation. There were 7 of us in total. At that time, we were called the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. After tens and thousands of years of history, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples gradually faded from people's sight and became a legend. Li Xianfeng, the owner of the seven deadly arrays formation. Qin Wushuang's head was full of questions. Heavenly mysterious seven disciples? Senior Li, you mean there are at least 7 elite warriors at your level in the Tianxian land? Yes, 7. There are only 7 of them. Senior Li, what is your ranking? Li Bai chuckled. I have the advantage of age and am the head senior brother. They usually call me Boss Bai, or head senior brother. Indeed, Senior Li is the leader of the ranking. I see that you have a different temperament. Qin Wushuang laughed. Suddenly, Li Bai revealed a serious expression. Wushuang, now I have a few things to tell you. First, you can no longer call me Senior Li. At most, you can only call me head senior brother. It's because you have inherited the 7 deadly arrays formation left behind by our teacher. You are the destined person and the owner of the formation. You can inherit our teacher's legacy. In fact, you are a direct disciple under our teacher's tutelage and hold a higher position than us. After being stunned for a moment, Qin Wushuang said with a bitter smile, those who reach the top are respected. Those who enter first are respected. Head senior brother, haha, head senior brother. Currently, inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt as if he was in a dream. Initially, the cloudy and foggy puzzle had all been opened. All his doubts had been pushed aside layer by layer, and he had the answer. Wushuang, when our teacher bestowed you with this formation, he also bestowed you with supreme responsibility. Do you know what happened during the immemorial war of the gods in the Tianxian land? Head senior brother, just what happened during the immemorial period? I only know that the immemorial period of the gods was the most glorious era in the Tianxian land. There were as many supreme Tao warriors as there were clouds. Later on, I don't know what happened, and a gap appeared in history. Then, the current Tianxian land has been passed down to this day. The situation did not change much. This way, you don't know much about the history of the Tianxian land. Li Bai's expression was incredibly solemn. I must tell you that the outside world speculated that the gods brought about their own destruction due to internal strife. This is a rumor and definitely an insult to our ancestors. In fact, those gods from the immemorial period all died to protect the Tianxian land. Some died at the hands of foreign enemies, and some burned their divine soul to protect the soaring of Galaxia barrier to prevent the foreign tribes from coming to the Tianxian land. Foreign invasions? Soaring of Galaxia barrier? Li Bai's facial expression twitched slightly. Yes, the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Wushuang, at the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage, you are the top existence in the current Tianxian land. However, in the immemorial period, you're only at the upper level. During the immemorial period, there were many heavenly supreme Tao warriors. Those at the heavenly supreme Tao stage had the miraculous divine skills to travel through the galaxy. They ignored the rules of space and were indescribably powerful. However, due to the invasion of the foreign tribes, the glory of the immemorial period was fixed in that era. Countless elite warriors of the heavenly supreme Tao stage threw themselves into the fateful battle to protect the Tianxian land. In that battle, the martial artists of the Tianxian land kept retreating. They could not stop the invasion of the foreign tribes. When Qin Wushuang heard Li Bai's incredibly gloomy tone, he could not refrain from feeling nervous and tangled. Hearing Li Bai's tone, the situation of that battle was incredibly difficult. Then, in the end, how did the Tianxian land get rid of that misfortune? Although Li Bai was recalling the old matters from tens and thousands of years ago, his expression was incredibly solemn. He did not have the slightest sense of indifference when recalling history. Hearing his tone, it seemed that the blade of fate was still hanging above his head. It made one feel suffocated and oppressed. Only 2 chapters will be updated today. Everyone rest. The old bull cannot hold on any longer. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 880. That battle. Haha. That battle could be said to be the end of the gods. It could also be said to be the turning point of the fate of the Tianxian land, the turning point from prosperity to decline. When Li Bai said this, his mood was clearly heavy. Of course, although that battle was difficult and countless experts of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage were sacrificed, it wasn't until later that everyone realized that just relying on the experts of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage to fight to the death could not change the situation of the invasion of the foreign races. Therefore, all the experts gathered together and made a great decision. They offered the Heavenly Tao Divine Soul, set up the soaring of Galaxia barrier, and forcefully sealed the transportation circle. More than 100 Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors used the most tragic and stirring method to save the Tianxian land. Thinking back to that battle from tens and thousands of years ago, Li Bai's tone was clearly downcast. Regardless of who it was, as long as they were people of the Tianxian land, it was without a doubt an irreparable wound. Senior brother, just how many Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors were there in that era? In that era, the genuine Supreme Tao warriors were as common as the coagulate Supreme Tao warriors. There were at least 200 people at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. It was the most glorious era of the Tianxian land. Unfortunately, after the foreign invasions, at least a dozen Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors died in the continuous battles. In the end, more than 120 people sealed the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Those at the genuine Supreme Tao stage did not even have the chance to participate. Qin Wushuang withdrew a breath of cold air. There were 200 Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors. What a glorious era it was. One could imagine how miserable that War of the Gods was. Senior brother, the appearance of the soaring of Galaxia barrier should have its advantages and disadvantages, right? Qin Wushuang thought for a moment and asked seriously. Li Bai revealed a look of appreciation as he nodded. Yes, Wushuang, it seems you have a high level of comprehension. Currently, the elite warriors of the Tianxian land cannot soar to the Galaxia and break through the shackles of the genuine Supreme Tao stage to enter the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. The reason is that the soaring of Galaxia barrier blocked the path between the Tianxian land and the universe. This way, the foreign enemies were stopped, but their own door was also closed. Qin Wushuang gave a bitter smile. It was no wonder those elite warriors of the Tianxian land could not soar to the Galaxia despite racking their brains. Your Star River has been sealed off, so how are you going to soar into the Star River? This way, as long as the soaring of Galaxia barrier is not removed, the elite warriors of the Tianxian land have no hope of soaring to the Galaxia, right? Qin Wushuang understood it this way. Li Bai nodded and said with a less determined tone, not necessarily. Although this is true in theory, there are still exceptions. Accident? Qin Wushuang smiled bitterly. It seems that in the past tens of thousands of years, there have been no accidents at all, right? There have been no accidents because they have not completely opened the God discarding door. Li Bai said with a solemn tone, I am in charge of the God discarding door and work with a few other colleagues for the fate of the Tianxian land. The God discarding door was the remains of the War of the Gods during the era of the gods. It was also a precious treasure left behind by the era of the gods. If the later generations could find the clues left behind by their ancestors in the God discarding door, they would definitely be able to soar into the Milky Way. We can even remove the astral river barrier and beat the alien races away. Wushuang, although the soaring of Galaxia barrier can protect the Tianxian land from being invaded by the alien races, it is not a long-term solution. If a plane cannot have a ruler that can intimidate the other races, in the end, it will not escape the fate of destruction. Ruler of the plane? Qin Wushuang was even more confused. He knew that now he was absolutely certain that Li Bai's stage was much higher than any totem powerhouse. Clearly, the matter he was considering was no longer the internal struggle for fame and benefits. The height determined the horizon, and the stage determined the height. Then, Li Bai and the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples he spoke of definitely belonged to those supreme existences. Most likely, even the totem clans would look up to them. Yes, ruler of the plane. Li Bai said seriously. The ruler of the plane is not self-proclaimed. They must be recognized by a ruler of a major galaxy. Qin Wushuang felt even more that his head was about to explode. Not only was he the master of a plane, but he was also the master of a major star field. These concepts had completely surpassed his understanding. He suddenly realized that although he seemed to have achieved exceptional results at the Tianxian land, he was still a frog at the bottom of the well when compared to the bigger picture. Not to mention others, just this senior brother before him alone was enough to throw him a few streets ahead of him. Senior brother, that foreign race, is eyeing the Tianxian land covetously. What do they want? It's simple. They want to use the Tianxian land as the transportation hub of the major galaxy. To put it bluntly, they are eyeing your territory, resources, and people. They are using other people's pain to satisfy their selfish desire to invade. Even for someone as calm as Li Bai, he could not refrain from speaking with a resentful tone. Then among our countless ancestors, has there never been a ruler of a plane? Just what kind of power does the ruler of the plane need? Currently, Qin Wushuang knew that above the genuine supreme Tao stage was the soaring of the Galaxia stage. He knew nothing about the stage after the soaring of the Galaxia stage. Wushuang, above the genuine supreme Tao stage, the soaring of the Galaxia stage. After the soaring of the Galaxia stage, it's the brand new heavenly supreme Tao stage. You know this, right? Yes, I know this, but that's all I know. Qin Wushuang did not hide his lack of knowledge in this aspect. It's not your fault. Even those top elite warriors of the totem clans do not know much. Today, I can tell you, after the soaring of the Galaxia stage, there is only one stage. That is the heavenly martial force, or the heavenly supreme Tao stage. You can see the heavenly martial force as the continuation of the void martial force and the divine martial force. You can also see it as a brand new stage. In fact, the heavenly martial force is the continuation of the divine martial force. The divine martial force is the coagulate supreme Tao, transformation supreme Tao, and genuine supreme Tao. Next is the heavenly supreme Tao stage. After a moment of pause, Li Bai continued to speak after Qin Wushuang digested the information. Therefore, the heavenly supreme Tao stage is the heavenly martial force. You can say it's the highest stage of the supreme Tao stage, or a brand new stage. This heavenly supreme Tao stage is also divided into 9 calamities. However, these 9 calamities are much more powerful than the 9 calamities of the genuine supreme Tao stage. They cannot be mentioned in the same breath. Every tribulation had a strict division. The first and second calamities of the heavenly supreme Tao stage are called initial stage heavenly supreme Tao stage. The third and fourth calamities are intermediate stage heavenly supreme Tao stage. The fifth and sixth calamities are advanced stage heavenly supreme Tao stage. When you reach the 7th calamity, you can receive the title of Master God. If you continue, the 8th calamity is the title of Heavenly Honored Warrior. The 9th calamity is the highest stage of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, and you'll be honored as the Holy Emperor of the Heavenly Martial Force. 9th calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Although they were all 9 calamities, the difference between each calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage was as far as the galactic planes. It was a chasm that was difficult to cross. Wushuang, across the entire universe, there are more elite warriors of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage than the stars in the sky. Every star in the Milky Way had cultivators of various forms. Every star was a plane of existence. 4 such planes, certainly there are different Supreme Tao elite warriors controlling them. It's not strange to have elite warriors of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Therefore, when placed within the scope of the entire universe, the so-called elite warriors of the Tianxian land are as tiny as specks of dust. Only when you have achieved the position of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, you are qualified to apply for becoming the master of the plane. From there, they can control the entire plane. This way, the Tianxian land is truly an object with a master. When a foreign tribes invade, they cannot act so unbridled. for the power and destructive power of a master god. Even those foreign tribes would not dare to provoke them easily. Qin Wushuang saw the light. A master god was at the seventh calamity of the heavenly, supreme Tao stage. To the current him, this was indeed somewhat far away. It was because he had not even stabilized at the genuine supreme Tao stage. Senior brother, in the history of the Tianxian land, has there never been an elite warrior at the master god level? Li Bai shook his head with a bitter smile. Wushuang, for this elite warrior at the master god level, I can tell you responsibly that there has never been one in the history of the Tianxian land. The strongest elite warrior at the heavenly supreme Tao stage, in the historical records of the Tianxian land, was at the fifth calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. That's already an eternal legend of the Tianxian land. For that battle with the foreign tribes, it was because of this fifth calamity heavenly supreme Tao stage leader that we were qualified to fight with the foreign tribes. In the end, we successfully sealed the Galaxia barrier. Fifth calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. Qin Wushuang mumbled. This way, there are two more calamities before that master god position. That's right, it's two calamities. However, these two calamities are truly a natural moat. It doesn't seem far away. If we are lucky, perhaps we can break through in 10,000 years. Perhaps we will never break through. This is not a fixed number. Qin Wushuang only felt a burst of bitterness in his mouth. This way, wouldn't the Tianxian land be too far away from the others? And there was no possibility of closing the gap? However, clearly Li Bai had not finished pouring cold water as he continued to say, "Now, the worst thing is not the breakthrough problem, but the problem of time. According to the observation of my friends, that Galaxia barrier is no longer as indestructible as it was when it was set up 60,000 years ago. In other words, the Galaxia barrier is already showing signs of loosening. If the foreign tribes keep attacking from the outside, according to our estimation, it will not take more than 10,000 years for the Galaxia barrier to be completely broken." When Li Bai said this, his tone was incredibly solemn and cold. To put it bluntly, the Tianxian land only has 10,000 years left. If there is no turning point in these 10,000 years, when the time is up, the fate of the Tianxian land will be without any suspense. Once the foreign armies invade, the people of the Tianxian land will certainly be plunged into an abyss of misery and suffering. These were not frightening words to scare people. It's something that will happen 100%. The foreign tribes have coveted the Tianxian land and accumulated anger for tens and thousands of years. Certainly, they need an outlet. Therefore, the day when the Galaxia barrier is broken will be the day when the Tianxian land becomes extinct. 10,000 years. Qin Wushuang chewed lightly. In the eyes of mortals, 10,000 years was clearly too long. It was enough for them to live for 100 lifetimes. However, hearing the tone of senior brother, it would take 10,000 years if they were lucky to break through from the fifth calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage to the seventh calamity. With this calculation, not only was 10,000 years not long, it could be said to be extremely short and urgent. Chapter 881. Ha ha ha. This chapter number is very auspicious. It's rare for a book to have 888 chapters. Brothers, for the sake of this chapter number, we should throw in 2 monthly votes. There will be one more chapter after this one. To mortals, they lived in the present. After 10,000 years, they would not have any remains. There was no need to consider anything. However, as a supreme Tao martial artist, their vision and stage would not be on the same level as mortals. The Tianxian land bestowed them with the talent for martial arts and gave them such generous treatment. It meant that they had to shoulder more responsibilities and work for the fate of the Tianxian land. This was also the reason why tens and thousands of years ago, the gods would give up their lives to set up the soaring of Galaxia barrier to save the Tianxian land from extinction. Senior brother, this way, you're in charge of the god discarding door, and other senior brothers are in charge of other places. Just what is this god discarding door? In fact, the god discarding door is the ruins of the gods. Only, this god discarding door is extremely hidden and serene. There are 12 levels. In the past, even the strongest totem elite warrior could only reach the 10th level at most. They could lose their lives at any time. God discarding door. Suddenly, Qin Wushuang felt apprehensive inwardly as he lost his voice. Senior brother, after entering this god discarding door, is it called the god discarding maze? Li Bai was slightly surprised. How did you know? Qin Wushuang said with a bitter smile. Senior brother, when I was at the endless eastern sea, I was swept into a mysterious space by that space whirlpool. I wandered around and walked into a maze. There was a voice inside that told me that I had entered the god discarding maze. The first level was some scattered treasures palace, and the second level was some devil palace. At that time, it required me to be at the sixth calamity of the coagulate supreme Tao stage, so I did not wander around easily. Later on, I returned to the hibiscus forest through various transportation formations. Li Bai was shocked and speechless. In the end, he could only reveal a bitter smile. Junior brother Wushuang, it seems that you are indeed a person with great fortune. You must not enter that god discarding door. If you were to enter carelessly, most likely you would lose your life. You entered the god discarding maze through the space whirlpool. You also came out through the transportation formation. This is too strange. Qin Wushuang scratched his head. Wasn't the god discarding maze set up by the master of the 7 deadly arrays formation? Li Bai shook his head. Of course not. The god discarding labyrinth was the site of the great battle of the gods. It was a labyrinth built on the site and was also the legacy left behind by the previous gods. They were afraid that after the foreign tribes truly invaded, they would rob all the resources of the Tianxian land. Therefore, setting up the god discarding maze could be considered as preserving the best things for the Tianxian land. Of course, it was also to preserve the bloodline of the Tianxian land, preserve the elites of the profound sky continent. Qin Wushuang nodded thoughtfully. However, since Master knows about the god discarding maze, he might use his great divine ability to enter and take a look. Hee. When Li Bai talked about the owner of the 7 deadly arrays formation, he spoke with a respectful tone. His degree of sincerity even surpassed those martyrs at the god discarding door. Eldest senior brother, just what is the background of Master? Could it be he is not from the Tianxian land? Qin Wushuang still had many questions in his head. Haha, Wushuang, we also don't know the background of Master. However, we are certain of one thing. He is definitely not from the Tianxian land. Besides, his strength is much more powerful than the strongest elite warrior in the Tianxian land. This powerful, instantly, Qin Wushuang was stunned. Or else, how could he use his great divine skill to set up such an exaggerated formation? Wushuang, use your brain to think about it. To run through the entire Tianxian land and build the transportation channel, what kind of divine skill would it take? Master treated it as an easy task and casually built this formation that could be called a miracle in the Tianxian land. Many sects in the Tianxian land have such transportation channels. However, how could those petty transportation channels be compared to the great work of the 7 deadly arrays formation? Many of the transportation channels of those sects in the Tianxian land were passed down from the immemorial era. They were also created by elite warriors of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. Think about it. How big is the difference? Qin Wushuang thought about it carefully. Indeed, the difference was extraordinarily big. Wushuang, the existence of this 7 deadly arrays formation is the reason why we are still running around and maintaining our fighting spirit. It's because after the discussion, we all feel that this precious formation left by Master is the only hope to solve the crisis of the Tianxian land. Even the god discarding door can at most preserve the bloodline of the Tianxian land. It's difficult to change the fate of the Tianxian land fundamentally. To change the fate of the Tianxian land, we must borrow external power. Master's unexpected appearance is an external power. It's also a part of the fortune of the Tianxian land. This proves that the heavens will not destroy the Tianxian land. Qin Wushuang was speechless. Vividly, he already guessed the reason why Li Bai was looking for him. He also knew why he had been paying attention to him in secret. 7 Deadly Arrays Formation. Everything was related to that 7 Deadly Arrays Formation. Since he inherited the 7 Deadly Arrays Formation, he was destined to be on the same boat as Li Bai. He was also the captain of Li Bai's boat. Senior brother, since you all know about Master's Formation, why is it that for tens and thousands of years, it was my turn to drink the soup? Li Bai chuckled. Good question. However, I can tell you that for this 7 Deadly Arrays Formation, Master said clearly that he left it for the Fated One. The 7 of us are not the Fated One. Master once told us strictly that if the 7 of us tried to find the 7 Deadly Arrays Formation, we would not have much hope to find it. Most likely, due to our lack of fortune, it would lead to a disaster. Therefore, this formation was not prepared for us. The reason for our existence is to wait for you, the Fated One. Fortunately, it's finally here. Speaking of which, we are actually related to you. These words made Qin Wushuang feel somewhat embarrassed. Wushuang, I am not joking. If Master wasn't looking for the Fated One, he would not have enlightened the 7 of us. If he didn't enlighten us, I am afraid we would have turned into dust in these tens and thousands of years. How could we be qualified to live until now? How could we have the fortune to look at this land that we love so much? Li Bai's tone was deep and full of emotions. Qin Wushuang was moved. There was a trace of sparkling light in his eyes as he looked at Li Bai. It was apparent that this frivolous senior brother had deep feelings for the Tianxian land that ordinary people could not compare with. Such feelings were also the reason why they had never left and remained unyielding for 60,000 years. Junior brother Wushuang, for the 7 Deadly Arrays Formation, the 7th loop is also the final loop. Once you inherit the 7th loop, you will inherit all of Master's legacy. At that time, you will be the top existence in the Tianxian land and must take on all kinds of missions, including the fate of the Tianxian land, including Master's instructions to you. Understand? Qin Wushuang was thoughtful. As he looked at Li Bai's earnest eyes, he could not help but nod. Senior brother, please rest assured. Although Qin Wushuang is still young, I know the principle of what to do and what not to do. If fate dictates that I must fight for the fate of the Tianxian land, I will accept it without hesitation. From the bottom of my heart, I'm also unwilling to let this land get trampled by the foreign tribes. I am not willing to let all living things become the target of the foreign tribes. Li Bai praised. Wushuang well said. With your words, our 60,000 years of hard work is worth it. Suddenly, Qin Wushuang's fighting spirit surged as a heroic spirit emerged. Wasn't it just a battle? Ever since he stepped onto the path of martial arts, for a little humble class seat, he had always faced opponents more powerful than himself. Through each hurdle, each curve, and each mountain, in the end, didn't he overcome them all? Not to mention, he was not unarmed and was not a lone warrior. Didn't he have many like-minded senior brothers who had fought for 60,000 years? Senior brother, according to your estimation, Master must be at the Master God level, right? Yes, for sure he is at the Master God level. We guess that Master must be above the Master God level. However, in the end, you will know what level he is at. The 7th loop will give you the answer. Then what stage are you guys at? Although this question was somewhat impolite, Qin Wushuang still wanted to know. Li Bai gave a long sigh. 60,000 years ago, we were about your age. We were also the most ordinary Coagulate Supreme, Tao, elite warriors. It was Master who enlightened us. From the vast Tianxian land, he picked the 7 of us. He nurtured us painstakingly and taught us to become elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Using Master's words, the 7 of us fit his taste the most during the Tianxian land era. Now, I am at the 3rd calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. For the other 6, 5 of them are at the 2nd calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. The remaining one is at the 1st calamity, a woman. Senior brother, these are the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples, right? Yes, I am the oldest and was designated as the senior brother. Second, Xiao Yishuan. Thirdly, Yifeng. These two are the guardians of the soaring of Galaxia barrier. They are in charge of monitoring the barrier. The fourth brother, Yichongtian, is my assistant. He has been guarding the god discarding door. As for fifth, he is Hua Xie. Both he and sixth Qihingyu have great talent. They live in seclusion in the dark and practice a secret starry technique. Seventh, Miao Su, is a woman. She entered the sect the last, so her strength is slightly lower. She and thirdly Yifeng are husband and wife. With this introduction, Qin Wushuang remembered it. He gave a long sigh. It's a great fortune for the Tianxian land to have hidden elite warriors at the heavenly supreme Dao stage. Or else, with the structure and height of the totem powerhouses, each of them are experts in internal strife. If we were to rely on them to defend against the invasion of the foreign tribes, we would only be waiting for death. It was apparent that Qin Wushuang did not have a good impression of those totem powerhouses, especially the Xianyuan clan. They had too many little schemes. They did not have the bearing and responsibility that the totem clan should have. Li Bai gave a long sigh. Wushuang, if the senior brothers heard your words, they would certainly praise you. I am rather courteous to the totem powerhouses. If it were them, they would not hold back when they saw the totem clan situation. Fortunately, we agreed that only junior sister Miao Su and I can move around the Tianxian land, and we cannot expose our true strength. The other junior brothers must not interfere with the chores of the Tianxian land. Why is that? Qin Wushuang was somewhat confused. Reasonably speaking, the more heavenly supreme Dao elite warriors appear, the more it would increase the morale of the Tianxian land and spur each sect to work harder. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 882. Li Bai revealed a bitter smile. After a moment, he said seriously, Wushuang, the War of the Gods also left behind future troubles. In fact, the foreign tribes already invaded. Therefore, many elite warriors infiltrated. Most likely, the elite warriors of the Heavenly Supreme Dao stage were all killed. However, there are some miscellaneous fish that hid deeply and were not killed. For these miscellaneous fish, some are only at the ordinary Supreme Dao stage. You cannot capture them one by one. These miscellaneous fish are the hidden dangers of the Tianxian land. Who knows, maybe a spy will pop out from somewhere. I see. Qin Wushuang said with a bitter smile. It seems that I am slow to realize. Senior Marshal Brothers, you are hiding because you don't want those spies to know our trump cards too clearly, right? That's right. Wushuang, if you encounter such spies, you must not show mercy, or else it will be a great disaster. Suddenly, a trace of strange light flashed across Qin Wushuang's eyes as he suddenly remembered something. Yes. Li Bai could not help but feel somewhat strange. Wushuang, what did you remember? Qin Wushuang said, Senior brother, I remembered something. What happened recently is extremely strange. Now, I finally figured it out. What is it? Senior brother, do you remember the battle between me and Xi and Tianwen on the Xianyuan stage? At that time, was there a divine beast Saberbeard in the Xian clan's camp? I know about Saberbeard, what about it? He must be a miscellaneous fish from the foreign tribes. For sure. Rich, murderous intentions flashed across Qin Wushuang's eyes. Wushuang, Saberbeard is a genuine supreme Dao divine beast. He is extraordinary. Do you have any proof? Senior brother, that Saberbeard colluded with the Xian clan and went against the Qin clan. As soon as Xian Tianwen died, this guy turned around and surrendered to me. He was willing to give up 2,000 years of freedom for a spot to enter the god discarding door. For the god discarding door, since you said it is the ultimate secret of the Tianxian land, the precious wealth left from the god's era. For this divine beast, Saberbeard, to scheme with such painstaking effort, he must have some plans. This is one of them. Also, on that day when my heavenly emperor ate gates surrounded and killed Saberbeard. He used a divine skill of heaven escape and completely ignored the rules of space. Its effect was similar to the heaven escape tome that his master had left behind in the Seven Deadly Arrays formation. It did not seem to be a treasure from the Tian Xianland. Thirdly, when Saberbeard was surrounded, he once said arrogantly that he had a master who could make my aspiring throne mountain collapse in an instant. I suspect that there is a mysterious organization behind Saberbeard, and he is definitely not from the Totem Clan. Instantly, Li Bai's expression became serious. After thinking carefully for a while, he nodded slowly. According to your analysis, this Saberbeard god beast is most likely a spy of the alien race. Qin Wushuang said angrily, too bad it ran away. However, with the vastness of the Tian Xianland, if they're determined to hunt it down, I don't think it can get far. Li Bai laughed and asked, Wushuang, how do you think we should take care of Saberbeard? Inform all the totem forces to encircle and annihilate them? After thinking about it seriously, Qin Wushuang shook his head. That's not right. Definitely not right. We finally learned that Saberbeard is a spy. It would be too much of a pity to kill him. Besides, I dare to guarantee that as soon as we send out the wanted order from the Tian Xianland, there is no need for the totem forces to make a move. Saberbeard's own organization will annihilate him. It's because he was exposed. Since he was exposed, most likely it would bring danger to his organization. Li Bai laughed with appreciation. He felt that his teacher had chosen this fated person well. From this junior brother, Li Bai saw too many shining points. This young man did not lack hot-bloodedness and shrewdness. What was even rarer was that he had a meticulous mind and was able to draw inferences from one case. At the crucial moment, he was able to keep his composure and consider things thoroughly. Saberbeard, haha, interesting. Wushuang, in fact, for this problem, your seventh senior sister Miao, Su, has always been suspicious. She has also been investigating in secret. However, this organization is well hidden. Usually, they do not have any activities. Clearly, these foreign miscellaneous fish have special survival skills and special contact methods. Speaking of which, the appearance of this Saberbeard is truly strange. No one knows which forbidden spiritual zone he came from. For a long time, everyone felt that he was only a mutated divine beast. Therefore, no one doubted his bloodline from the Tian Xianland. Now it seems that everyone was confused by the words mutated divine beast. Yes, indeed, this Saberbeard divine beast has a deep, scheming mind. He did not show any mercy when he killed the entire Xian clan. He did it to give me a proof of allegiance. Li Bai let out a leisurely smile and cast away his mouth. Wushuang, you're using a borrowed knife to kill people well. Qin Wushuang blushed with shame as he chuckled mischievously. Wushuang, you don't need to feel burdened. You are a person with great fortune and fortune. This little killing is nothing. Besides, in the martial arts world, those who become great figures step on piles of white bones. As long as you have a belief worth working hard for, something you must protect, and the courage to defeat all obstacles, then just do it. In the universal environment, not to mention a mere Xian clan, even if it's the Totem Clan, when their destiny is up, it will be as easy as blowing out a candle flame. It will be extinguished in one breath. Li Bai swept away his previous grinning appearance. Indeed, between his expression, there was great imposing manner. In his eyes, the Totem Clan was without a doubt a chess piece on the chessboard. Since this chess piece was useful, he would continue to use it. If it was not useful and became useless, it would not be a problem to banish it directly. For someone like Li Bai, who had great ambition, breadth of mind, and ambition, of course, they would not feel emotional over the rise and fall of the Xian clan. To put it bluntly, the Xian clan was not qualified. Before Li Bai, a powerful existence like Xian Tianwen was no different than an ant. Without even lifting his arm, he used his mind to send out a supreme Dao attack to destroy him. This was the difference. Upon seeing Qin Wushuang's calm expression, Li Bai laughed again. Little one, it seems I worried too much. You don't have any burdens. Haha, senior brother, The Xian clan is full of evil. Since Saberbeard likes to do it for us, of course I will not object. Of course, now I know the identity and background of Saberbeard. In the end, we must account for the blood debt of the Xian clan. Saberbeard must die, just not now. Yes, with this Saberbeard as the breakthrough point, it's best to pull out the radish and bring out the mud. We can pull out the entire organization along the way. There's a famous saying that one must pacify the internal before resisting foreign aggression. It's the long-term mission of the Tianxian land to deal with the foreign tribes. However, this internal spy is not aware that any action of the Tianxian land will be restrained at every step. It's definitely disadvantageous to resist the invasion of the foreign tribes. Qin Wushuang nodded. There are still 10 years until the opening of the god discarding door. Senior brother, let's wait a bit more. Let's see how many tricks this Saberbeard has. This guy better not meet me again. If he does, I will give him a surprise. A trace of understanding emerged from the corner of Li Bai's mouth. Ha! It seems you want to use the divine venomous puppet again. However, this method is good. If you can control Saberbeard, it's not impossible to pull out a large group of them. Qin Wushuang did have such a plan. All right, Wushuang, don't think too much now. In the next 10 years, you will focus on training. Strive to achieve more breakthroughs on the genuine supreme Tao stage before entering the god discarding door. You must remember, the god discarding door is not our teacher's territory. It was left behind by the gods. They will not open any back door for you. Once you enter, you will face the same opportunities and risks as the others. Therefore, you must be 120% alert. You must not let down your guard, and you must not become arrogant and careless. Qin Wushuang felt apprehensive as he answered submissively. He chuckled. Senior brother, although I am not as old as you guys, I am not that frivolous young man. I can understand the severity of the matter. Aha, that's right. For matters in the martial arts world, you must be practical and not overconfident. If you think you can look down on the god's ruins by inheriting the 7 deadly arrays formation, most likely you will suffer a great loss. There is no absolute connection between these two. Whether our teacher connected to the god discarding maze at the 7th loop or not, we don't know. Therefore, Wushuang, you must think about it yourself. Yes, senior brother, I will train hard and strive to explore the 7th loop. The minimum requirement for the 7th loop is the genuine supreme Tao stage. According to our teacher's message, it's the safest to explore at the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage. Li Bai waved his hand. You can decide for yourself. Besides, for Saberbeard, don't look for him deliberately to avoid alerting the enemy. Okay, Qin Wushuang answered. Li Bai rubbed the edge of his nose and revealed his signature mischievous smile again. Like an old urchin, he said with a smile, Wushuang, today I came to talk to you. I delayed your wedding night. You will not blame me, your senior brother, right? It's the first time we met, and you are already this unreasonable. You even took up the wedding night, haha. Qin Wushuang did not know whether to laugh or cry. Instantly, he was at a loss for words. Indeed, this senior brother had the side of an old urchin. After he finished talking about the serious business, he could not help but tease him. All right, I'll have to take a walk around the forbidden zones. The situation at the Eastern Sea is difficult. These fellows were truly lacking in ability. For all these years, they could not do anything when dealing with the Golden Crow. Qin Wushuang was moved inwardly. Senior brother, that Golden Crow is extremely strange. It once wreaked havoc in the immemorial era. Could it also be a foreign species? Once again, Li Bai's expression became solemn as he remained silent. After a while, Li Bai nodded. Wushuang, your words reminded me. Looks like I'll have to take a good look at this beast. For this long, I have always followed the principle of not interfering with secular affairs and let them take care of it themselves. Who would have thought that this Golden Crow would actually cause these supreme totem elite warriors to be so dejected? Qin Wushuang also revealed a helpless and bitter smile. However, he said, indeed, the Golden Crow is powerful, especially its evolution power is terrifying. Such miraculous evolution power is truly exaggerated. Li Bai said, I will take a look at the eastern sea. After he had finished speaking, his body turned into smoke and dust and disappeared instantly. Ha ha, Wu Shuang. Every moment of the spring night is worth 1,000 gold. You must enjoy life to the fullest. Protecting the Tianxian land is your mission. Carrying on the family line is also a great mission. Don't slack off, ha ha ha. Again, Qin Wushuang was speechless. However, he did adhere to the teachings of his senior brother. Although it was delayed for a moment on the wedding night, it was not too late. After a night of madness and a night of scenery, it was the first time he tasted the water. Of course, it was endlessly charming and gentle. Until the end of the long night, he still felt unsatisfied. Chapter 883. After meeting Li Bai, Qin Wushuang felt a deeper sense of mission. Of course, he did not put a burden on himself because of Li Bai's words. Qin Wushuang still held firm to his belief that everything would work out when the time came. As long as he kept working hard, fate would not give up. As long as there was a trace of hope, Qin Wushuang would have 100 times more reason to fight for it. For the 7th loop of the 7 deadly arrays formation, Qin Wushuang was now qualified to explore it. Of course, he was not in a rush. Per the hints left by his teacher Li Bai, the genuine Supreme Tao stage was the lowest requirement to explore it. The higher one's strength, the more advantageous it would be to explore the 7th loop. In the blink of an eye, another 6 years had passed. In these 6 years, Qin Wushuang had made great progress in the training of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. After continuous breakthroughs, he was already an elite warrior at the 3rd calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. With such strength, plus his own uniqueness, it allowed Qin Wushuang to most likely only look up to paramount totem elite warriors besides the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples and other independent elite warriors at the Tianxian land. In other words, among the totem powerhouses, Qin Wushuang only needed to look up to a few paramount totem elite warriors. Of course, the outside world knew nothing about Qin Wushuang's progress. Each day, Qin Wushuang trained hard in solitary training at the aspiring Throne Mountain and did not dare to slack off. He knew that he did not have much time left, not to mention the 10,000-year limit. Even the competition of the God Discarding Door would require Qin Wushuang to be 120% focused. Senior brother Li Bai warned him that inside the God Discarding Door, Qin Wushuang would not receive any special treatment and would be treated the same as everyone else. Qin Wushuang was not afraid, yet he could not let down his guard. If he could not even pass the test of the God Discarding Door, how could he challenge the elite warriors of the foreign tribes? How could he carry on his teacher's dying wish? Of course, it was incredibly fast for him to break through 3 calamities in these 6 years. Initially, it took him 5 years to break through from the 8th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage to the 9th calamity. Of course, no matter which level of divine Tao it was, the 9 tribulations were usually the most difficult. Once he broke through, the first 3 tribulations of the next level would be relatively easier. Everyone knew that crucial breakthroughs required more time and energy. These divine Tao calamities did not bring Qin Wushuang a true great test, with the 9th tribulation genuine Supreme Tao weapon accompanying him. Qin Wushuang passed through the first 3 tribulations of the genuine Supreme Tao stage easily. On this day, Qin Wushuang was in seclusion, and the 3 divine beasts were cultivating near Qin Wushuang. It was a harmonious scene. His only disciple, Yang Yi, was also cultivating nearby. Under Qin Wushuang's guidance, Yang Yi, who had only been in the sect for a dozen years, had actually reached the exquisite mysterious realm. Qin Wushuang naturally wouldn't be stingy and gave both the spiritual power pearl and the recuperation pearl to Yang Yi. These 2 items were extremely important to a cultivator who was about to break through to the Supreme Tao realm. Initially, Murong Su had relied on this to smoothly break through to the Supreme Tao stage and achieve the Supreme Tao stage. This made Mu Rong Qinji feel even more proud. When Qin Yunran walked before the cave dwelling, Bao Bao somersaulted out and chuckled. Second chief, it's rare. What wind blew you here today? Currently, ever since the great battle at the Heavenly Emperor Gate, the bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey had completely recovered. His strength had advanced by leaps and bounds, and he had trained all the way to the 8th calamity of the transformation, Supreme Tao stage. Now, as he was preparing, he would not dare to challenge the 9th calamity easily. Of course, when everything was ready, Bao Bao would certainly challenge the 9th calamity. In fact, if Qin Wushuang had not stopped him with all his efforts, Bao Bao would have already taken the risk to challenge the 9th calamity. When Qin Yunran saw Bao Bao, he was also deeply moved inwardly. He laughed. Bao Bao, it seems you have advanced a lot. I am truly envious. During the great battle at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, your actual strength was about the same as mine. You were even one level lower. Now, you have left me a few levels behind. Now, I am only at the 6th calamity, and you are already at the 8th calamity. Soon, you can deal with the great 9 heavenly calamity, right? Bao Bao was immensely proud. Since he was familiar with Qin Yunran, he did not need to put on an act. Second chief, boss is in solitary training. What's the matter? Instantly, Qin Yunran's expression became solemn as he nodded seriously. Indeed, there is an urgent matter. Something happened at the endless Eastern Sea. Oh, the Eastern Sea? Bao Bao scratched his head and suddenly remembered something. Could it be that Golden Crow is not easy to control? The muscles on Qin Yunran's face twitched slightly. This time, it's not just a matter of not being easy to control. That Golden Crow, I don't know what method it used, but it killed a paramount totem elite warrior. What? Instantly, Bao Bao was stunned as he mumbled, a paramount totem elite warrior is dead? Which clan did it belong to? In the end, if he would choose, he would rather it be Xian Yuanyang. Initially, when Xian Yuanyang stood up for Exine Tianwen at the Xian Yuan stage, Bao Bao was also incredibly annoyed. It's the fire god of the dark mysterious clan. His body was destroyed by the Golden Crow, and his divine soul was swallowed by the Golden Crow directly. Among the paramount totem elite warriors, that fire god is one of the top elite warriors. Qin Yunran revealed a worried expression. Now, this matter has spread across the entire Tianxian land. Everyone is in danger. My Qin clan must also make some preparations. We must plan ahead just in case. This time, Bao Bao was strangely not bickering. Instead, he nodded seriously. Yes, for this matter, I must tell boss. The Golden Crow does not share a good relationship with boss. Although Qin Wushuang was in solitary training, his spiritual perception covered the surrounding 1,000 miles. Not to mention all those puppets were his eyes and ears. The puppets were controlled by his divine soul. The listening of the puppets was his listening. As long as he communicated with his divine soul, he would know anything. Golden Crow. Qin Wushuang chewed lightly and revealed a somewhat stern expression. Indeed, this Golden Crow is difficult to deal with. 6 paramount totem elite warriors could not annihilate it. On the contrary, it ambushed the fire god. In fact, it's truly a coward. Initially, Qin Wushuang had told Li Bai about the suspicion of the Golden Crow, and Li Bai had agreed to take a look at the Eastern Sea. This way, at least this senior brother did not make a move. Although Qin Wushuang did not know the reason why senior brother did not make a move, he knew that he must have his reasons for doing so. Boss, this Golden Crow is already out of control. We should make some plans as soon as possible. When that Golden Crow kills its way to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, for sure it will find trouble with us. Bao Bao suggested. This suggestion received Fire Kylan and Lone's approval. Don't look at how each of these divine beasts were arrogant and untamed. Before truly elite warriors, they were incredibly calm and would not act on impulse. After a moment of silence, Qin Wushuang nodded. Everyone, please calm down. I will never let the Qin clan get attacked by the Golden Crow. Chief Yunran, go make some preparations and clean up the 300 miles surrounding the upright morality hall. I'm going to set up a formation and open up a cave dwelling. Open up a cave dwelling. Qin Yunran was greatly astonished. Opening up a cave dwelling was a great divine skill and great work. A cave dwelling of 300 miles. Wouldn't it be a bit exaggerated? Ha ha, second chief. For sure boss has his reasons for saying this. Go and do it. Currently, Bao Bao was qualified to speak such words. Qin Yunran nodded. All right, head chief, I will do it now. However, Qin Wushuang said with a leisurely smile, Chief Yunran, if I were to open up a cave dwelling of 300 miles, without 100 years of hard work, certainly the cave dwelling would not be sturdy. This time, I will open up a new cave dwelling, and I will not need to do it myself. I only need to refine a mustard cave dwelling, and it will cover 300 miles around the upright morality hall. This is only a little formation. When I achieve great success and completely refine this mustard cave dwelling, it can expand to 3,000 miles. By that time, the aspiring throne mountain can take in all the heavenly emperor 8 gates to receive protection. They will stay on the outside, and we will stay in the center. The deeper we go, the more stable it will be. Indeed, that mustard cave dwelling was miraculous. Currently, Qin Wushuang estimated that at most, he could open up the core of the formation and build a cave dwelling of 300 miles. If he were to open up the outside completely, it would be difficult to do it without reaching the 7th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. For this mustard cave dwelling, Qin Wushuang had studied it for a long time and already had some ideas. To refine it, it would take almost a year to achieve an impregnable defense. According to his teacher's instructions, this formation, it would be difficult for someone at the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage to injure it. Only elite warriors at the heavenly supreme Tao stage could destroy it. However, the heavenly supreme Tao stage also had the 9th calamity. Qin Wushuang guessed that most likely ordinary heavenly supreme Tao warriors would find it difficult to destroy this mustard cave dwelling completely, unless they could reach the 5th or 6th calamity. As for the existence that could make this cave dwelling collapse with a wave of their hand, Qin Wushuang estimated that they would be at least at the Master God level. Master Gods were at the 7th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. Since this mustard cave dwelling was the great work of his teacher, Li Xianfeng, and he left it to him as if he was serious about it, without a doubt, it would not be opened by ordinary heavenly supreme Tao warriors. Therefore, Qin Wushuang was full of confidence. The only regret was that he had not reached the 7th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage and could not completely open this mustard cave dwelling. If he could extend it to 3,000 miles, he could cover all the important territories of the Qin clan. After clearing out 300 miles of empty land, Qin Wushuang started to use the divine power of the 5 elemental essence to guide the spiritual qi from the ley lines. He opened up 999 ley lines and connected them with the mustard cave dwelling to form a fusion. This way, the sturdiness of the mustard cave dwelling would directly cover the ley lines. It would also make the ley lines indestructible, as if they were the foundation of this cave dwelling. Not to mention the Nirvana heavenly plow. Even if he used a heavenly supreme Tao weapon, most likely it would be difficult to gain any advantage. Qin Wushuang's great work made the entire Qin clan dumbstruck. Finally, they realized how monstrous this head chief of the Qin clan was. After a year of refining and activating this mustard cave dwelling, it had a myriad of phenomena and instantly outlined the strength of the Qin clan. Each day, Qin Wushuang polished the exterior and did his best to perfect it. After a year of hard work, he finally made the exterior defense watertight. Now, Qin Wushuang was extremely confident that even if the golden crow were to arrive now, it would be like an ant trying to shake a giant tree. It would be impossible for it to succeed. This morning, I went out to take care of business. When I came back, I felt okay. Unexpectedly, when I took my son out to play in the evening, Old Bull got heat stroke. For the entire night, I felt dizzy and tossed for a few hours. I felt a little refreshed as I gritted my teeth to write. It was truly a chapter that I endured. Brothers, please don't look down on Old Bull. I really cannot hold it. It also explains another problem. Yesterday's chapter said that Qin Wushuang did not reach the genuine supreme Tao stage. That was definitely a mistake. Old Bull already corrected it. Everything will be based on the previous chapter. Let's promote a new book. Book title: Demonic Extermination Book Number 1985480. Introduction. Say, lay down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha on the spot. Xiao Yiqian said indifferently. Pick up the butcher's knife and enter the demonic state instantly. You're not fast enough, go back to the temple and chant. This book is definitely hot-blooded, shocking, and tyrannical. Exorcist and righteous, come, people who enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. People who slay demons and exorcist devils. Feel free to come in. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 884. The refinement of the mustard cave dwelling had greatly increased the safety of the Qin clan. This way, Qin Wushuang would have more confidence in his solitary training. Even if that golden crow did not have eyes and came to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, Qin Wushuang would have enough trump cards to deal with it. Just this mustard cave dwelling alone would not be something that the golden crow could break through. Although the golden crow was powerful, under the current rules of the Tianxian land, it would be impossible for it to break the restraints of the genuine Supreme Tao stage and enter the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Taking a step back, even if the golden crow could enter the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, as this mustard cave dwelling continued to be refined, its defensive power would also keep increasing. It would be impossible for ordinary Heavenly Supreme Tao stage experts to break through. As for the situation at the Eastern Sea, Qin Wushuang was not in a rush to get involved. Since senior brother Li Bai had already gone to the Eastern Sea, he believed that certainly he would have a plan. He would not allow the golden crow to keep acting arrogant. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, another few years had passed. Now, it had been exactly 15 years since Qin Wushuang ascended to the Heavenly Emperor position. Finally, the Tianxian land welcomed another pageant that would only happen once every few thousand years. The opening of the God Discarding Door. Any gathering hosted by the totem powerhouses could not be compared to the fortuitous opportunities at the God Discarding Door. In these years, Qin Wushuang's strength did not increase greatly. However, he did gain something. Currently, Qin Wushuang was already at the fourth calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. In 15 years, not only did he break through the restraints of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage, he also trained to the fourth calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. This is definitely an exceptional achievement. Inside the Upright Morality Hall, it was still the same old rules. All people above the core disciple level were qualified to attend. In these dozen years of development, the Qin clan had entered a golden period. Elite warriors inside the Qin clan had also emerged like bamboo shoots after the rain. Although no new Supreme Tao elite warriors had appeared, many elite warriors had entered the exquisite mysterious boundary stage from the perfect void martial stage. These elite warriors of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage were the preparatory echelons of the Supreme Tao stage. Now, the Qin clan had an extremely perfect elite training system. Each echelon had a clear training method. This allowed the development of the entire Qin clan to appear orderly. When Qin Wushuang saw this joyous scene, he felt extremely gratified. He glanced across the entire scene and said leisurely, "Everyone, from your expressions, I see the future of the Qin clan. Very good. Everyone must have worked very hard in the past 10 years. I hope that everyone will continue to do so. Now, the Qin clan is in a flourishing stage of development. We must use this opportunity to widen the gap with the other sects and shake them off. In fact, not to mention Qin Wushuang, even ordinary disciples of the Qin clan had naturally raised their outlook. They no longer put themselves on the same level as the other sects of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Their gazes had reached a whole new level. Now, all disciples of the Qin clan knew that they had a genius head chief and a powerful backer. Head chief, the god discarding door will open in half a year's time. Now, everyone was restless, waiting for the Star River order to come down. The Qin clan is the Heavenly Emperor Gate. We should have many spots, right? Qin Wushuang muttered to himself irresolutely. Don't worry about this. I will take care of it. Everyone only needs to train seriously. No one can take the spots that belong to us. Everyone in the Qin clan was extremely confident in this young head chief. Hearing his words, no one would doubt it. Initially, many disciples of the Qin clan had witnessed the confrontation between Qin Wushuang and Xian Yuanyang, the paramount totem elite warrior. The entire Qin clan had always been proud of this. Since ancient times, not many people dared to challenge the totem clan. It was the fortune of the Qin clan that they had such a young chief with awe-inspiring temperament. Head chief, last time you asked me to make some changes to the higher-ups of the Qin clan. After thinking for a long time, I have an initial idea. Please take a look. Now, Qin Chongyang was still the general manager of the secular affairs of the Qin clan. He was equivalent to the internal butler of the Qin clan. Qin Wushuang took it and looked at it for a moment. A trace of an appreciative smile was revealed on his face as he nodded. Good. This is a good plan. For the Qin clan, the higher-ups need to clearly divide the work. There are 3 major chiefs and 5 minor chiefs. There are also the Grand Elder Courtyard, Honored Warrior Hall, Elder Hall, Guardian Hall, and the Ascending Dragon Slope for the core disciples. Initially, the division is meticulous, yet the division of work is not clear enough. Qin Yunran nodded. Yes, in the past, the Qin clan still placed too much emphasis on individual training. For the entire Qin clan, we lacked some overall planning. Of course, there was a historical reason for this. Back then, head chief Qin Xiaodian was focused on training to prepare for the Heavenly Emperor competition. He did not have the time to get involved with these secular affairs. Qin Yunran had a relatively rough personality. For such constructive problems, perhaps he could give some suggestions. However, it would be difficult for him to have an overall idea. Qin Chongyang did have this talent. Yet after all, he was only the 3rd chief. For some matters, without the authorization of the head chief, it would not be appropriate for him to act in a domineering manner. Most importantly, the Qin clan had been suppressed by the Xian clan. Although they still had their strength of character, they did not have enough confidence in terms of temperament. Plus, the supreme Dao elite warriors of the Qin clan at that time were incomparable to the current ones. They also did not possess the conditions to clearly divide the work. Currently, the Qin clan had entered the flourishing period and was developing vigorously. Naturally, they needed a detailed plan. Qin Chongyang connected his usual ideas and added some improvisation. He had made an extremely detailed plan. Currently, Qin Lianshan also held the position of an elder of the Qin clan. Although in terms of strength, he had not reached the exquisite, mysterious boundary stage, the quasi-supreme Dao stage. Compared to ordinary elders, his strength was already superior. Plus, with his special identity, although he was an elder, he did not have a lower position than those honored warriors. He also enjoyed the treatment of an honored warrior. The Shiming was at the peak of the common mysterious stage and was close to the supreme Dao stage. The pupil surpassed the master. Although he was only an honored warrior with a different surname at the Qin clan, at the Honored Warrior Hall, he had grasped great authority. The entire Qin clan was full of vigor. Those ancestors of the Qin clan that were initially held back by Ji Tong were also completely released due to Qin Wushuang. However, these ancestors were already old, and not many of them had outstanding strength. On the contrary, among the younger generation, there were a few with good potential. They could be considered as cousins of Qin Wushuang. Qin Lianshan stepped out and let them stay at the aspiring Throne Mountain to train. The rest went to the Plainfield Qin clan to enjoy their retirement. The Plainfield Qin clan was the ancestral home of Qin Wushuang's ancestor, Qin Yu. The current head of the clan was Qin Yi, Qin Yu's brother. Of course, they could not refuse. Currently, the Plainfield Qin clan was extremely proud. It was because the current head chief of the Qin clan, Qin Wushuang, the master of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, was the bloodline of the Plainfield Qin clan. Just this point alone was enough for the Plainfield Qin clan to be proud for a few thousand years. Ever since Qin Wushuang had sat on the seat of the head chief, he had not returned to the Plainfield Qin clan. However, Qin Lianshan had returned many times. Those surrounding branches of the Qin clan had never believed that the Plainfield Qin clan was the ancestral home of the current Heavenly Emperor. Only when Qin Lianshan had returned to his ancestral home, plus the return of these disciples of the Eastwood Qin clan, it had served as evidence. This had allowed the status of the Plainfield Qin clan to rise with the tide. They had become the most famous branch of the Qin clan within 10,000 miles. Not to mention their old enemy, the Redwater Qin clan. Even those original, strongest branches of the Qin clan had to look up to the existence of the Plainfield Qin clan. Of course, all of this was thanks to Qin Wushuang. Just when everyone was discussing matters related to the god discarding door and harmony at the Upright Morality Hall, a disciple came in from outside the door to report that the Stargaze Palace of the human countries had requested an audience. When Qin Wushuang heard the words Stargaze Palace, his eyes instantly lit up. The Stargaze Palace was the first stage where Qin Wushuang's path of training had taken off. Using the words of his former world, the Stargaze Palace was Qin Wushuang's alma mater. Although Qin Wushuang's focus was on the Qin clan, the experience of the Stargaze Palace still held a precious position in Qin Wushuang's heart. It could be said that the position of the Stargaze Palace in Qin Wushuang's heart did not belong to the Qin clan. Haha, everyone, the Stargaze Palace is the starting platform for my martial arts training. My teachers took great care of me in the past, especially my teacher Tan Zhongqi. He treated me like his own son. A teacher for a day, a father for life. The head chief never forgets his roots. This is a beautiful story. Yes, the Stargaze Palace has nurtured such an exceptional head chief for the Qin clan. The Qin clan has no reason to not respect the Stargaze Palace. When Qin Wushuang heard everyone's words, he felt extremely gratified inwardly. He laughed. Everyone, come with me to welcome them. Everyone nodded and agreed. Qin Lianshan also had a good impression of the Stargaze Palace. In fact, many of the Eastwood Qin clan's crises have been solved through the Stargaze Palace. Initially, during the battle at the Green Jade Mountain, the outside world thought that Qin Wushuang had died. That martial saint from the enemy country had set his eyes on the Eastwood Qin clan. It was Tan Zhongqi who had rushed over thousands of miles to help. Qin Lianshan had always remembered this kindness. When he heard that people from the Stargaze Palace had come, he was also extremely excited. This time, the Stargaze Palace was bustling with activity. From 5 palace masters to the advanced disciples, more than 100 people had come. Although these disciples from the Stargaze Palace were not on par with the Qin clan, it did not stop them from receiving the highest level of reception. Even if they did not look at the monk, they would look at the Buddha. Just the fact that the head chief was from the sect in the past was enough to explain everything. When the head chief was not strong enough, it was not the Qin sect that protected him, but the Stargaze Palace. However, just this point was enough. When Qin Wushuang saw his teacher Tan Zhongqi from afar, he still had his tall and straight body. Although some frost had appeared on his temples, his expression was full of vitality, and he appeared to be in a joyful mood. Haha, Wushuang, good kid. You have truly grown up. Along the way, the head palace master and I were deeply moved that we all knew you were a genius. However, we still did not expect you to soar so high and so fast. Tan Zhongqi laughed and did not feel any grudge because of Qin Wushuang's revered position. In his eyes, Qin Wushuang was still that exceptional disciple from the past. A disciple that had won glory for him and a disciple that had made him feel proud again and again. When Qin Wushuang saw Tan Zhongqi, inwardly, he remembered his initial days at the Stargaze Palace. His teacher had welcomed him personally and helped him seek revenge for the old devil Jiyin. He had fought for his position and took care of him. When he thought about it today, he felt incredibly warm. He had already decided that regardless of his teacher's request, he would agree to it. To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 885. Tan Zhongqi and Zhuo Buchuan were able to keep their composure. They were able to chat and laugh with the higher-ups of the Qin clan. The other three palace masters also forced themselves not to have stage fright. For the other disciples that were originally disciples of Qin Wushuang, besides senior brother Wei, Yi, and Zhao Muji, even Zhou Fu, who was from the same sect as Qin Wushuang, felt somewhat nervous under such circumstances. They only used their eyes to peek at Qin Wushuang from time to time. For such a scene, clearly they could not communicate with Qin Wushuang without any hindrance like they did at the Stargaze Palace. On the contrary, Qin Wushuang did not put on any airs. He walked to the core disciples of the Stargaze Palace with a chuckle and greeted the disciples that had fought with him in the past. Regardless of whether he was the Heavenly Emperor or not, Zhao Muji punched Qin Wushuang's shoulder with his fist. "Good junior brother Qin, how many years has it been? You didn't even give us a heads up before you threw us all out." As Qin Wushuang looked at Zhao Muji and Wei Yi, his brows moved slightly. Inwardly, he was overjoyed. "Senior brothers, congratulations. From the looks of it, all of you are only a step away from the supreme divine Tao." In the past, Zhao Muji and Wei Yi were captured by Xi and Tianwu at the Eastern Metal Sea. At the most crucial moment, Li Bai had stepped out to save them. He had helped them to be reborn and increase their talent and foundation by more than 10 times. Back then, Li Bai had asserted that in 10 years, because of these two, the Stargaze Palace would have the power to march into the Xianyuan Mound. If they developed at their best speed, they would even have the chance to march into the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates. Unfortunately, Zhao Muji and Wei Yi had trained in the human countries. After all, the environment was not the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Therefore, when the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates went to war, they did not develop to the most ideal stage. Now, another 15 years had passed. These two had developed at the same time and climbed to the peak of the common mysterious stage. They were only one step away from that supreme Tao stage. The rapid progress of these two had led a group of disciples of the Stargaze Palace. It had allowed the power of the Stargaze Palace to increase tremendously. Currently, Zhuo Buchuan, the head palace master, and Tan Zhongqi, the second palace master, both possessed the fortune of the perfect void martial stage and were one step away from entering the exquisite mysterious boundary stage. With their cultivation level, because they didn't have any supreme Tao elite, it might be questionable if they were to be called a first-rate force. However, if they were to be called a second-rate force, then they were definitely qualified. Therefore, if the Stargaze Palace wanted to march to the Xianyuan, to march to the Xianyuan Mound too. Unfortunately, the 5 palace masters had deep feelings for the Stargaze Palace. They could not bear to part with their foundation in the human countries, especially the layout of the Stargaze Palace. It to the Stargaze, to the palace, to the two to see, to the time to the Stargaze, to the palace to Zhongqi, to the two to stop to the to go, to the to speak to the two, to the she to the to the 9, to the end, to the end to the end. Anyways, now that the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect only exists in name and the Mountain Gate is desolate, we could develop it. The foundation of the Stargaze Palace can be built on the territory of the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect. In the past, that Heavenly Luo Taoist sect had destroyed the buildings of the Stargaze Palace. Now, it's natural for us to occupy their territory. This is karma. Qin Shongyang chuckled and said, "Hall Masters, I really have to congratulate all of you. Perhaps the Mountain Gate of the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect is somewhat inferior to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. However, outside the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, it is definitely a first-rate territory. If the head chief uses his divine skills to unblock the spiritual ley lines, The mountain gate of the heavenly Luo Daoist sect will make the rise of the Stargaze Palace much easier. Zhuo Buqian and Tan Zhongqi exchanged a glance and nodded. If it's the territory of the heavenly Luo Daoist sect, we will not have any psychological burden when we occupy it. Qin Wushuang laughed. Okay, the territory of the heavenly Luo Daoist sect will be renamed to the Stargaze Palace. Head Palace Master, Teacher, you don't need to worry about the foundation of the mountain gate. In the worst case, when I have mastered my skills, I will use my divine skills to move the entire layout of the Stargaze Palace there. This way, you don't need to reminisce about the past every day. Both Zhuo Buqian and Tan Zhongqi were overjoyed. Ha, Palace Masters, since my head chief has spoken, the Stargaze Palace should prepare to move. In the future, when we arrive at the Xianyuan Mound, everyone will be a family. Since we are close, we can move around and take care of each other. Qin Yinran also laughed. To speak the truth, the Stargaze Palace can only walk further and achieve higher achievements by entering the mainstream training of the Xianyuan Mound. Tan Zhongqi laughed. The words of the second chief are right. If the Stargaze Palace can grow stronger and produce a few supreme Dao elite warriors, even when we arrive at the underworld, we will feel deeply proud when we see our ancestors. Although the Stargaze Palace was made up of martial artists from the human countries, they also placed great importance on their ancestors. Or else, with such a great opportunity, they would have already agreed and rushed to the Xianyuan Mound to set up camp. After Qin Wushuang had settled the people of the Stargaze Palace, he went to find Tan Zhongqi alone. It had been a long time since the teacher and disciple had met each other alone. Even though Qin Wushuang was the heavenly emperor, he still felt incredibly warm when he was interacting with Tan Zhongqi. Wushuang, you are good. You're strong, and I'm already used to your peerless talent, so I'm not that shocked. However, with the massive Qin clan business, you're able to manage it in such an orderly manner. This makes me feel rather surprised. Excellent. Tan Zhongqi did not lower his attitude just because his disciple had climbed to a high position. His tone was the same as when he was teaching that young man who had just stepped onto the path of martial arts. Qin Wushuang laughed mischievously. Teacher, it's all thanks to your teaching. Tan Zhongqi smiled and said, Don't try to flatter me. I am your master. This point, no one can deny. However, to be honest, all the accomplishments you have achieved today are not related to me. Even if you did not take me as your teacher, you would have also achieved such accomplishments today. Only to me, having taken you as my disciple is enough for me to be proud for the rest of my life. Do you know what those sects in the human countries call me? Qin Wushuang asked curiously. What do they call you? Forefather Zhongqi. Tan Zhongqi rubbed his nose and laughed to himself. Clearly, Tan Zhongqi's personality had not changed at all. Qin Wushuang made fun of him. This is a good name. It's domineering. Tan Zhongqi rolled his eyes. Are you making fun of me? Those frogs at the bottom of the well in the human countries only know how big the sky is. What forefather? I am scared of losing my lifespan. Could it be that because the heavenly emperor of the Xianyuan Mound is my disciple, my seniority must be higher? Nonsense. Teacher, you are indifferent to fame and fortune, but others do not think this way. They all feel that if they curry favor with forefather Zhongqi, perhaps they can get in touch with the heavenly emperor. Teacher, you have a pure and kind personality. You must not let others flatter you. Tan Zhongqi said with a bitter smile. Okay, let's not talk about this. Wushuang, let's talk about some serious matters. To be honest, this time, the Stargaze Palace came in a rush. We did not even make an appointment and came uninvited. Qin Wushuang said seriously, Teacher, since you have come to my place, it would be inappropriate if you had to make a promise first. Everyone says that a teacher for a day is a father for life. You're coming to your own disciple's place like coming to your own son's house. You should not be so polite. Tan Zhongqi was extremely satisfied. Yes, Wushuang, it's good that you do not forget your roots despite holding high position. However, I will not take advantage of my seniority. To be honest, I did not come here just to see you. I am ashamed to say that we did not accept your invitation to come to the Xian Yuan Mount. This time we have come here. It seems that we are refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Teacher, what are you talking about? You should not treat me as an outsider. Tan Zhongxi nodded. Wu Shuang, that golden crow, is wreaking havoc at the Eastern Sea. During this time, we always felt that the situation at the endless Eastern Sea was too tense. In the human countries, especially the Stargaze Palace, we are the key point of the west coast of the endless Eastern Sea. Once the golden crow is to charge into the Xian Yuan Mount, the Stargaze Palace will bear the brunt. It is precisely because of this consideration that we, the 5 palace masters, collectively decided that it would be better to move out. Although our homeland is good, we must not forget the principle of people walking towards higher places. Wu Shuang, the Stargaze Palace has risen late. If you have the conditions, you must take care of your fellow disciples in the future. Before them, I would never promise to ask for favors for them. I am afraid that it would harm them and make them slack off. However, in private, I must mention it. Teacher, don't forget the person who dug the well when drinking water. Please rest assured for such a small matter. The Stargaze Palace is also my sect and part of my divine soul. Tan Zhongxi felt greatly gratified as he nodded happily. Good. In the future, your junior sister Zhou Fu will certainly inherit the line of the Green Cloud Palace. Now, Muji and Wei, you have acquired fortuitous opportunities and have left your senior sister Zhou in the dust. Initially, Zhao Muji's strength was slightly inferior to your senior sister Zhou. Yet now, he has surpassed her by a lot. This made her feel somewhat shocked. Qin Wushuang laughed. I see. I was just wondering why senior sister Zhou was not as lively as before. Initially, a core disciple on the same level as her had suddenly left her behind and advanced by leaps and bounds. Indeed, this was a great blow to Zhou Fu. Qin Wushuang thought for a moment. Teacher, I acquired a green wood divine cauldron at the dark mysterious city and am collecting some diluted precious materials. When I make the natural rebirth pill, you can be reborn after consuming one. It can ensure that you have 100% qualifications to aim for the Supreme Tao stage. How about it? Tan Zhongxi was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. This is great. Seeing that his teacher was happy, Qin Wushuang was also extremely happy inwardly. Qin Wushuang had always been happy to share his teacher's burdens. When the teacher had matters to attend to, the disciple would take care of it. Even if he was a heavenly emperor now, this kind of mentality would never change. Tan Zhongxi had helped Qin Wushuang during his most difficult moment when he was suppressed by the old devil Jiyin to the point where he could be killed at any moment. Just this relationship between teacher and disciple was enough for Qin Wushuang to never forget his teacher's kindness for the rest of his life. To be continued, if you want to know the future, please log on to www.qijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 886. Qin Wushuang worked extremely hard for the Stargaze Palace. When he arrived at the former site of the heavenly Luo Daoist sect, he saw that the once flourishing heavenly Luo Daoist sect was now barren. All disciples of the heavenly Luo Daoist sect had completely collapsed after Qin Wushuang had ascended to the heavenly emperor position. Considering the grudge between the heavenly Luo Daoist sect and Qin Wushuang, how could they dare to linger? When a tree falls, the monkeys scatter. The vast heavenly Luo Daoist sect had become an abandoned place. People had always wanted to acquire the territory of the heavenly Luo Daoist sect from Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang had never agreed. Inside his head, he had always planned how to settle the Stargaze Palace. Indeed, the territory of the heavenly Luo Daoist sect was the most suitable. Although the floating snow house and the misty sword sect had their original territories, it would not be kind enough to order them to give it up. Such style of doing things where one's own people would suffer losses was not Qin Wushuang's usual style. Naturally, to plan the territory, one must strike at the enemy's head. Since the heavenly Luo Taoist sect was afraid of Qin Wushuang seeking revenge, it would be a waste not to use their territory. Although Qin Wushuang had wreaked havoc at the heavenly Luo Taoist sect and destroyed the power of the ley lines, in the end, Qin Wushuang still felt that the territory of the heavenly Luo Taoist sect was incredibly attractive. If developed properly, it could be used as a sturdy fortress. Therefore, when the Stargaze Palace had come to him and made this request, Qin Wushuang did not consider it at all. He thought of the territory of the heavenly Luo Taoist sect directly. Qin Wushuang was incredibly efficient. In a month, he had dredged the underground ley lines of the heavenly Luo Taoist sect. He also performed his great divine skills to open up an escape route for the heavenly Luo Taoist sect. For this underground passage, Qin Wushuang had built it in an extremely secretive manner. Even if the elite warriors from the outside world were to break in, most likely they would not discover it easily. This passage opened towards the direction of the Qin clan. In case of emergency, they could escape through this passage. Unfortunately, Qin Wushuang was not an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Or else, he would have opened a transportation channel directly to connect to the Qin clan. This would be the safest way. This time, Qin Lianshan was also very supportive. He dispatched a group of people from the Plainfield Qin clan and started to rebuild all kinds of buildings on the territory of the heavenly Luo Taoist sect. They designed the buildings according to the specifications of the Stargaze Palace. Initially, Qin Wushuang had promised to move the buildings of the Stargaze Palace with the mountain moving technique. Now, it seemed unnecessary. It would be enough as long as he could move some of the important things from the Stargaze Palace. After Qin Wushuang unblocked the earth vein's spiritual power, he started to refine pills. Although it was only 3 eternal creation pills, it was very laborious. After all, concocting pills was not like fighting an enemy. Even the slightest mistake was not allowed. Half a month later, Qin Wushuang finally succeeded in refining the good fortune pill. This time, Qin Wushuang did not intend to share it with anyone. Instead, he directly gave the 3 eternal creation pills to his master, Tan Zhongqi. Teacher, here are 3 eternal creation pills. It's enough to enlighten 3 of our colleagues. As for the exact arrangement, you can make the decision. How about it? Tan Zhongqi held the little bottle that contained the pills and only felt the weight of 1,000 caddies in his hand. Haha, Wushuang, does this count as going through the back door? Tan Zhongqi laughed and was in an incredibly good mood. This disciple was still as considerate as in the past and made Tan Zhongqi feel warm. A disciple of the Heavenly Emperor was able to maintain the same humility and respect as when he had first become his subordinate. Teacher, how could this be called a back door? This is clearly our own door. I am a disciple to the line of the Green Cloud Palace. Teacher, you didn't expel me from the sect, right? Ha! Expel you from a sect? I finally found such a good disciple. It's my fortune from 10 lifetimes. To expel you from the sect, how many times would my head have been crushed by the door to make such a decision? Both teacher and disciple laughed. The Stargaze Palace was preparing to move to the Xianyuan Mount. The controller of the god, discarding door, Li Bai, was announcing to the 5 forbidden spiritual zones of the Tianxian land to start issuing the soaring Galaxia commanding plates. Regardless of who it was, those who wanted to go through the god, discarding door, must hold the soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Without the soaring Galaxia commanding plate, those who dared to enter would only die. In other words, this soaring Galaxia commanding plate was the pass to enter the god, discarding door. This god, discarding door, would only open once every few thousand years. For many rules, ordinary sects could only learn from the ancient records. According to historical experience, ordinary Heavenly Emperor gates could not acquire more than 10 soaring Galaxia commanding plates. The Totem clan, on the other hand, had 15. With this soaring Galaxia commanding plate, you could give it away or give it away. However, if you were to give it away, you must verify the identity and background of the person who gave it away. Once something happened to the recipient, the person who gave it away would also be out of luck. Therefore, in general terms, this soaring Galaxia commanding plate was rarely given away, unless it was an extremely close and hardcore relationship. It was only possible to give away 1 or 2 soaring Galaxia commanding plates after ensuring that there were no problems with the identity and background of the other party. Of course, the soaring Galaxia commanding plate could also be used for trading and auctioning. However, the prerequisite was that the person who received this soaring Galaxia commanding plate must have a clear identity and background. There was also the possibility of taking it by force or trickery. However, in the end, the person who held this soaring Galaxia commanding plate must go through an examination before entering the god discarding door. In other words, it would be extremely difficult for a random outsider to enter this god discarding door through the soaring Galaxia commanding plate. It would be an almost impossible task. For each forbidden spiritual zone, the soaring Galaxia commanding plate would be given to the totem clan. Li Bai was extremely fair. Each forbidden spiritual zone would have 60 soaring Galaxia commanding plates. In other words, only 300 people were qualified to explore the god discarding maze. These 100 soaring Galaxia commanding plates were divided into 3 levels. The elementary soaring Galaxia commanding plate was qualified to explore the first 4 levels of the maze. The intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plate was qualified to explore the first 8 levels. To explore the 9th to 12th levels, one must have the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Unfortunately, only 10 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plates were distributed to each totem clan. There were 20 intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plates. Of course, the ones with the most were the elementary soaring Galaxia commanding plates. There were 30 of them. According to the past rules, besides the paramount totem powerhouses, only the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates were qualified to possess the soaring of Galaxia commanding plates. For the other powerhouses, unless they were a few exceptional ones and were favored by the totem clan, they would be qualified to acquire a few. When the soaring Galaxia commanding plates arrived at the totem clan, naturally they would gather all major sects to discuss the distribution. The exact location was still the Xian Yuan stage. This was also the only place where the Xian Yuan clan was willing to allow secular powerhouses to step into. Or else, besides the Heavenly Emperor, few others were qualified to enter the core area of the Xian Yuan clan. Everyone knew clearly what the soaring Galaxia commanding plates meant. This was a rare opportunity. Precisely speaking, as long as one did not die, one would gain something by going to the god discarding door. It would be impossible to return empty-handed. To Qin Wushuang's surprise, this time, both the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect were participating. Xian Yuan Yang opened his mouth to speak. Everyone, the 60 soaring Galaxia commanding plates are already in the hands of the Xian Yuan Totem clan. I believe there is no need for me to elaborate on what kind of opportunity this is. Everyone's desire for the soaring Galaxia commanding plates has already explained everything. I will not speak any more nonsense. I believe everyone is most concerned about the distribution. Everyone did not make a sound. Inwardly, they were fully alert to hear how Xian Yuan Yang was going to distribute it. Especially Qin Wushuang. When he saw Yin Beifei and Lei Ming, he could not help but feel angry. Although the Xian clan was destroyed, these 2 houses were smart enough to withdraw from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain and went into hiding. However, when he saw them under such circumstances, although Qin Wushuang would not deliberately target them, it was clearly impossible for him to greet them with a smiling face. He knew that in the end, the Xian Yuan clan still restrained their fear of the rise of the Qin clan. A powerful Heavenly Emperor gate would not be a good thing to the Xian Yuan clan. Especially since this Heavenly Emperor gate had the support of Li Bai, it made the Xian Yuan clan restrain their fear even more. Clearly, Xian Yuan Yang wanted to whet everyone's appetite as he slowly opened his mouth to speak. Everyone, per the old rules, for the 60 soaring Galaxia commanding plates, the Xian Yuan Totem clan will take 15. Among them, we will take 5 for each of the elementary, intermediate, and advanced ones. The remaining will be divided fairly among all the sects at the scene. Although it was a fair distribution, it would depend on how the totem clan would arrange it. If the totem clans sat crooked, it would be difficult to guarantee 100% fairness. When everyone heard that the totem clan had taken 5 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plates directly, they more or less held a grudge. The totem clan was too ruthless. They took away half of the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plates. How could they let others live? Qin Wushuang was rather calm. He wanted to see how the Xian Yuan Yang would arrange it. The Heavenly Emperor Gate is the butler of the Xian Yuan Mound, the master of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. According to the rules, you can get 8 soaring Galaxia commanding plates. Among them, you can get 1 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate, 2 intermediate ones, and 5 elementary ones. Being an old sect, the Yun clan is on par with the Heavenly Emperor Gate in terms of strength. You can get 7, 1 advanced one, 2 intermediate ones, and 4 elementary ones. The remaining sects will compete for the other 30 commanding plates. Does anyone have any objections? After Xian Yuanyang finished speaking, he looked around with a smile. He wanted to see everyone's attitude. On the other hand, the Yun clan was incredibly peaceful and somewhat surprised. It was an unexpected surprise that they were only 1 plate away from the Heavenly Emperor Gate. Since the Xian Yuan clan had made the decision, most likely the others would not have any objections. Just when everyone thought this distribution method was set, an indifferent voice emerged from the Qin clan. May I ask, Sir Yang, what is the standard for the distribution of this advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate? The person who spoke was Qin Wushuang. A calm smile hung on his face, as if he was only curious about this question. Xian Yuan Yang said with an indifferent tone, historically, the Xian Yuan clan has always distributed it according to the rules. There is no clear rule. Chief Qin, do you have any good suggestions? Qin Wushuang revealed an indifferent smile. This soaring Galaxia commanding plate is a great opportunity for the major forbidden spiritual zones to change their status. Personally, I think it's better to have a rule. Xian Yuanyang raised his eyebrow. Since this soaring Galaxia commanding plate is related to the exploration opportunities inside the God discarding door, of course it should belong to those with power. Especially for the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate, there needs to be a rule. For the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate, we have always considered the genuine supreme Tao elite warriors first. Each genuine supreme Tao elite warrior gets 1. If there is not enough, we will consider the competition. Qin Wushuang laughed. In this case, the Qin clan should not only get 1 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. As soon as he spoke these words, instantly thick dark clouds covered Xian Yuan Yang's complexion. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.qitian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 887. This was not the first time. Xian Yuanyang shot a cold glance at Qin Wushuang. He suppressed his anger forcefully and asked, Chief Qin, according to you, how many soaring Galaxia commanding plates should we get? Qin Wushuang seemed to not care about Xian Yuanyang's murderous gaze as he said, if we are to consider the genuine supreme Tao elite warriors first, then my Qin clan has as many as 3 genuine supreme Tao elite warriors. No matter what, we should not only get 1 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Qin Wushuang did not argue fiercely. His words were reasonable, and it made it difficult for Xian Yuanyang to flare up. 3 genuine supreme Tao elite warriors? I would like to ask. Qin Wushuang counted with his fingers. My Grand Elder Xiaodian has always been an elite warrior of the Supreme Tao. Everyone can testify this is the first one. Being the head chief of the Qin clan, I also trained to the genuine Supreme Tao stage by luck. This is the second one. As for the third one, it's my assistant Bao Bao with the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey. He also just broke into the genuine Supreme Tao stage. This is the third one. Xian Yuanyang was astonished. He looked at Qin Wushuang and sensed it carefully. Qin Wushuang also released some genuine supreme Tao presence appropriately. Good, good. Indeed, heroes come from the young. Xian Yuan Yang kept sneering. Then, that ancient spiritual monkey, during the Heavenly Emperor Mountain competition, didn't he already become the guardian divine beast of the floating snow house? I don't know that he still occupies a spot in your Qin clan. It's not that he must occupy the spot of the Qin clan. If he did not, of course it would be better. However, Bao Bao is indeed the genuine supreme Dao stage. If we prioritize the genuine supreme Dao elite warriors, of course he is qualified to get one. Of course, if we're talking about competition, he would not have any problems. Only in terms of the procedure, there is a sequence. At this moment, Bao Bao also stepped out. Yes, Sir Yang, I am a disciple of the Monkey Clan and have always been an old powerhouse of the Xian Yuan Mount. At this time, we cannot favor one and discriminate against the other. If they prioritize the genuine supreme Dao, it would be unfair if they did not give the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. This sort of reputation was something that the Xian Yuan clan could not afford to lose. In desperation, Xian Yuan Yang could only take a step back. Fine. Since there is a genuine supreme Dao elite, we should respect the rules. The Qin clan received 2 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plates and lost 1 primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Bao Bao, with the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey, received an advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. The remaining 1 will be fought over by all the clans. This was actually just a small favor, and it could also protect the authority of the Xian Yuan clan. Naturally, Xian Yuan Yang knew what to choose. Anyway, he had the strength of the genuine supreme Dao stage. If he wanted to compete, he could still get the high-grade Milky Way token. In that case, Xian Yuan Yang would become a villain for no reason. Naturally, he would not do such a thing. In this way, the distribution of the Star River tokens was finally finalized. Nominally, the Qin clan had acquired 2 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plates. In fact, that divine beast Bao Bao should have belonged to the Qin clan. As for the rest of the competition, everyone would use their own methods. On the whole, it was very fair. The Xian Yuan clan directly took 15 soaring Galaxia commanding plates. The Qin clan took 8, and the Xian clan took 7. This way, the remaining 30 would be fought over by other powerhouses. What made Qin Wushuang feel slightly annoyed was that clearly the Xian Yuan clan wanted to protect the heavenly punishing villa and the sound of thunder sect. They had let each of them get 1 intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plate. The other sects had acquired about 5 soaring Galaxia commanding plates. Of course, there were also 4. Overall, there was not much difference. The other advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate was seized by the purple flame electric beast without any suspense. This made Xian Yuan Yang feel incredibly annoyed, yet he could do nothing. This way, the Qin clan had acquired 4 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plates. It was almost on par with the Xian Yuan clan. The god discarding door had a total of 12 layers of maze. In the eyes of the Xian Yuan clan, the primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate no longer held any attraction. It was a form of attitude for them to occupy a spot. As for the intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plate, it did hold some attraction. However, the Totem clan was definitely not unfamiliar with the maze from the 5th to 8th levels. They needed the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate the most to explore the maze from the 9th to 12th levels. Upon seeing the number of soaring Galaxia commanding plates acquired by the Qin clan catching up to the Totem clan, Xian Yuan Yang felt that his authority was being challenged. Inside one of the hidden deep valleys of the god discarding door, Li Bai raised his head to look at the resplendent galaxy with a solemn expression. He gave a light sigh. Beside him, there was a person with the face of a baby, but the body of an adult. His hair was tied up in a braid, and his style was very strange. He said, "Boss, why are you sighing again?" Li Bai gave a light sigh. "Fourth, look at this boundless galaxy. The countless stars are like grains of sand. Each star is a material plane that nurtures countless lives. Tell me, how great is this master creation?" The guy with the ponytail was the fourth of the heavenly, profound 7 disciples. His name was Yi Chong Tian, and he was a guy who looked young on the outside but was extremely old-fashioned on the inside. He whispered, "Boss Bai, you're being sentimental again. We don't care about the other material planes. It's good as long as our Tian Xianland is fine. It's a pity that in the vast universe, it's very difficult to stay out of it alone. Fourth, tell me, just how many people in those planes are also paying attention to the Tian Xianland while we are looking at the stars in the sky? And how many planets share the same fate as us?" Yi Chong Tian opened his mouth, yet he did not know how to respond. Fortunately, at this moment, Li Bai moved his brow and revealed a smile. "They are here." Before his voice had dropped, 5 figures surged from all directions. With a whoosh, they dropped into the valley like falling meteors. "Senior brother, how have you been?" "Ha ha. All of you are still as graceful as before." Li Bai greeted them with a smiling face. These 5 people were the other 5 of the heavenly, mysterious 7 disciples. They had received the highest order from Li Bai and rushed over from different places. Second, Xiao Yishuan possessed powerful strength. He walked the path of masculinity and was at the second calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. With an imposing appearance and a tall and sturdy figure, he gave off an incredibly masculine feeling. Third, Li Yifeng walked the path of elegance and possessed powerful strength. He did not lose to second, Xiao Yishuan. With a lean appearance and a tall figure, he gave off an elegant and otherworldly feeling. Fifth, Huaxia was the most handsome one among the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. Dressed in white robes, he had a cold personality and was a decisive person. The secret skill he practiced was the moon shadow sword technique. He absorbed the powerful extreme Yin Qi into the sword. His sword technique was otherworldly and erratic. Even second and third would not dare to look down on him due to its powerful power. Sixth, Qi Hongyu was like a young man with an easygoing personality. He was the most amiable one among the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. With his amiable temperament, he gave off an incredibly educated feeling. However, this Qi Hongyu was a person with principles. He would not care about ordinary matters. Once his reverse scale was touched, Qi Hongyu would be more stubborn than anyone else. He would not turn back until he hit the southern wall. Therefore, when this Qi Hongyu was calm, he was like the gentle lake water that gave people a warm feeling. Once he exploded, he was more terrifying than the perilous waves. Therefore, the other senior brothers of the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples took great care of him. Sixth brother Qi Hongyu also had a very good reputation among his fellow disciples. Everyone was very concerned and admired this little junior brother of theirs. As for 7th, Miao Su, he was the last to enter the sect. His strength was also behind. However, this Miao Su had a strong personality and hated evil as if it was his personal enemy. What was more rare was his fiery temperament and meticulousness. This allowed Miao Su to become Li Bai's most trusted one. He only allowed Miao Su to move around in the secular world and learn about different kinds of confidence. When the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples gathered together, clearly they had important matters to discuss. Everyone locked their gaze on Li Bai's face. All along, this frivolous senior brother had been their spiritual core. Everyone knew that with their teacher gone, in fact, senior brother was half their teacher. Therefore, in everyone's heart, Li Bai was both a teacher and a father figure. Second, third, at this occasion, we don't need to be courteous. Tell us about the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Li Yifeng shot a glance at Xiao Yishuan. Xiao Yishuan knew that Li Yifeng wanted him to speak, as he did not decline. Senior brother, the soaring of Galaxia barrier seems to be stable recently. However, there was a period of intense activity a few dozen years ago. According to our repeated speculations, if there are no major accidents, this soaring of Galaxia barrier will last at least 8,000 years. As for the upper limit, it will not exceed 12,000 years. Senior brother, time is running out. Yi Chong Tian mumbled, Senior brother, This time we must not hesitate. Regardless of the casualties, we must let them go through the maze after the 9th stage. If we are not willing to explore deeper due to fear of death, in the long term, our Tianxian land will not have a future. Yes, senior brother, this time you must not stop them. Whether they live or die, it will all depend on their strength and luck. Even if they drag out an ignoble existence now, when the soaring of Galaxia barrier breaks, they will still become the foreign slaves. It's better to give it their all now. Even if they die, they will die happily and live comfortably. Xiao Yishuan also tried to persuade him. Huaxie did not speak much as he only nodded. It's better to die standing than to live kneeling. Qi Hengyu, the 6th, chuckled. Senior brother, we must give them some pressure. Or else, we will never be able to explore the end of the god-discarding maze. Time waits for no one. 8,000 years, it's too urgent. Although Li Yifeng and Miao Su did not speak, in fact one could see everything from their expression. They also hoped to increase the exploration efforts. After Li Bai finished listening to everyone's opinions, he laughed. Brothers, you truly have the same idea as me. I had originally planned to give everyone more pressure this time. Instead of waiting for the foreign tribes to invade and die miserably, it's better to give it our all and charge through the god-discarding maze. What if the god-discarding maze brings a new turning point for the Tianxian land? One thing was certain, inside the god-discarding maze, treasures were piled up like mountains. As long as one was willing to charge through and come out alive, certainly there would be tremendous gains. Senior brother, since junior brother has already appeared, I think our bitter days should almost come to an end, right? Haha, I'm really looking forward to it. I wonder what teacher has prepared for junior brother. Senior brother, how is junior brother's current strength? 3rd or 4th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. Li Bai gave a light sigh and still felt somewhat regretful. It would be great if he could dash to the 9th calamity. I really want to get rid of the predicament of the Tianxian land as soon as possible. Upon hearing Li Bai's words, everyone's expression became solemn. Indeed, they needed an outlet for tens and thousands of years of suppression. Today it seems to be better. However, during the day, I had to go out to decorate. Rest early and try to write more tomorrow. Let's stop here for today. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 888. When Li Bai saw everyone's solemn expression, to ease the atmosphere, he changed the topic. Miao Su said, Junior sister, when you were supervising that golden crow at the endless eastern sea, did you gain anything? Senior brother, after the fire god paramount was killed by the golden crow, the other 5 paramount totem elite warriors did not dare to neglect it. However, the golden crow is clearly keeping a low profile and no longer shows itself. The 5 paramount elite warriors searched every corner of the endless eastern sea and could not find the golden crow. This way, you also did not find any traces of the golden crow. Li Bai's tone was extremely solemn. Senior brother, that golden crow must be proficient in immemorial secret techniques and has special concealment methods. For now, I cannot confirm its whereabouts. Li Bai nodded. According to my and junior brother's speculation, perhaps this golden crow is related to those foreign spies that infiltrated tens and thousands of years ago. Everyone, try to think, when was the earliest time when the golden crow wreaked havoc at the Tianxian land? Xiao Yishuan had always been a steady person as he frowned lightly. In fact, this golden crow emerged during the immemorial period and no one knew their background. They only said that the essence of the sun and the water of the rushing current valley nurtured them day after day and formed 10 golden crows. As for the truth, the immemorial gods did not know much. A trace of solemn murderous intentions emerged from Hua Xie's handsome face. Senior brother, since we were guessing here, why don't you let me make a move and kill that golden crow with one sword? It's better than being overly suspicious here. This was not bragging. Don't think that those paramount totem elite warriors were having a hard time dealing with the Golden Crow and were being played around. If Huaxia were to make a move, with his strength at the second calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, it would be a piece of cake to kill the current Golden Crow. Restricted by the current rules of the Tianxian land, the rebirth of the Golden Crow could not break into the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. This was also the reason why the Golden Crow could not take out all the paramount totem elite warriors. However, although the Golden Crow could not break into the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, the bloodline inherited from the immemorial period allowed it to possess astonishing combat power. It surpassed those paramount totem elite warriors. Li Bai shot a glance at Huaxia and carried a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. He looked at everyone. Fifth is still this sharp. Everyone, do you think it's feasible to make a move on the Golden Crow now? Chi Hengyu chuckled and said, if fifth brother makes a move, the Golden Crow can only stretch out its neck to be killed. However, I feel that it's not worth it to attack the Golden Crow now. What do you mean? With a faint smile, Li Bai seemed to want to test this sixth junior brother. Although these junior brothers were all cultivators who were tens of thousands of years old, their minds were actually very simple. Besides Li Bai, Xiao Yishuan, and a few of the top-ranked martial artists, they were already famous elite warriors before they were chosen by his teacher, Li Xianfeng. As for the others, they were all up-and-coming talents. They lacked that kind of scheming and astute character. In these tens and thousands of years, among the heavenly mysterious seven disciples, besides Li Bai and Miao Su, who were qualified to step into the secular world, the others had their own responsibilities and did not have much experience in the ways of the world. Therefore, in these tens of thousands of years, they had gained a lot of experience in cultivation, but in terms of human relationships, they were relatively blank. After all, in these tens of thousands of years, apart from the seven martial brothers, he had no experience of interacting with outsiders. Chi Hengyu said with a polite smile on his face, "Senior brothers, I don't care whether the Golden Crow is a demon of a foreign tribe or not. This is not a suitable time to make a move on him. If he is a foreign tribe, certainly he is the leader of the army. At this crucial moment, if we make a move on the Golden Crow, the other spies will certainly go into hiding. This will increase the difficulty of our investigation. If he is not a foreign spy, killing the Golden Crow is the same as weakening the powerhouses of the Tianxian land. Once the soaring of Galaxia barrier is broken, perhaps those paramount totem elite warriors will not break into the heavenly supreme Tao stage, but the Golden Crow will break through on the spot." The soaring of Galaxia barrier was the only restriction that prevented those elite warriors from ascending to the heavenly supreme Tao stage. In these tens and thousands of years, Li Bai and the others were also affected by this soaring of Galaxia barrier when they could not break through. However, their teacher, Li Xianfeng, left them the secret techniques of the soaring of stars. Therefore, although they could not break through their stage, they could keep increasing their combat power. This would not make them idle for these tens and thousands of years. Li Bai laughed and turned to the others. "What about you guys? Tell me about it." Xiao Yishuan was the second senior brother and had the most right to speak. He said with a low voice, "We can kill the Golden Crow anytime. It's too early to make a move now. However, I feel that we should not wait until the opening of the God discarding door." Now, there were only 3 months until the opening of the God discarding door. Huaxia raised his brow and looked at Li Bai. "Senior brother, 3 months when you say it will come. This time, when the God discarding door opens, we must not let the foreign spy sneak in. How about this? With 3 months as the time limit, I will go out and kill that Golden Crow." "Eldest senior brother, let me go with fifth brother." Chi Hengyu volunteered. "Ha, senior brother, fifth and sixth have been suppressed for tens and thousands of years. I think we should let them move. Regardless, even if we do not kill it, we must control it. When the God discarding door opens, we must not give it any chance to stir up trouble." The third brother, Li Yifeng, finally spoke. Naturally, Miao Su followed her husband. Third brother is right. Even if we do not kill the golden crow, we must control it. The god discarding door will not allow it to cause trouble. Ichon Tian had an old-fashioned temperament and was extremely fiery. He cried out, "Fourth, fifth, if this golden crow stirs up trouble, if it challenges you or wants to run away, just kill it. Don't talk nonsense with it." Huasef said indifferently, "It cannot run away." Chi Hingyu laughed. Although he did not say anything, the confidence in his smile was apparent. In the end, Li Bai made the final decision. "All right, then it's decided. Fourth bro, fifth bro, when you do this, you must be direct and efficient. Don't drag your feet." Hua Siye and Chi Hingyu nodded. Xiao Yishuan changed the topic. "Boss, for this opening of the god discarding door, are there any good seedlings from the various totem powerhouses?" "Same as usual, besides junior brother being a surprise. For now, I don't see any exceptional ones. However, since the highest level maze is opened, we can look forward to those paramount totem elite warriors. I only hope that the Tianxian land can have more heavenly supreme Dao elite warriors. By that time, even if we have to fight the foreign tribes head-on, we will have more hope." Li Bai's tone was profound, and he was clearly not that frivolous martial artist from before. Instead, he carried a form of great and universal love. If the Tianxian land had more heavenly supreme Dao warriors, the cost of the invasion would be higher and the price would be greater. This way, to the enemy, it would be a form of gamble. They would not be willing to spend their hard-earned capital to conquer the Tianxian land. The sacrifice will be directly proportional to the gain. Li Feng laughed. "Senior brother, before junior brother appeared, I was worried about the fate of the Tianxian land. Now, I am much calmer. I firmly believe that when teacher set up this trap, it's the same as giving the Tianxian land a chance to come back from a hopeless situation." Third brother's words make sense. I also feel that although teacher barged into our plane unintentionally, I can see that he also has feelings for the Tianxian land. Or else, he would not have spent such a great price to help us. Unfortunately, in the end, his divine soul still collapsed. If he was still alive, I believe that those foreign invaders would not have the slightest resistance before him, Chi Hingyu said. When everyone mentioned their teacher, Li Xianfeng, their expression turned gloomy as they sighed endlessly. Although tens and thousands of years had passed, they still felt deeply moved by their teacher's enlightenment that gave them a glimmer of hope. Senior brother, in the past, when teacher suffered such severe injuries to his divine soul, he could still open up the 7 deadly arrays formation, such a defying formation. Truly, he possesses great divine abilities. Tell me, if Master hadn't been injured, how could those bastards of the foreign races have resisted Master's divine ability? Li Bai shook his head helplessly. Everyone, don't forget that teacher was also being hunted. He also had many concerns. Or else, even if his divine soul was injured, most likely the foreign tribes would not be qualified to fight against him. Even with teacher's powerful strength, I don't know who could hunt him down. Li Bai waved his giant hand. Let's not worry about teacher's matters. To put it bluntly, we are teacher's emissaries. Everyone must set up a proper attitude. Little junior brother was Master's true successor. We must all pave the way for him. Only he is the key to solving the crisis of the Tianxian land. Yes, everyone nodded with a matter-of-fact expression. For tens and thousands of years, this was the mission they always remembered in their hearts. Li Yifeng raised his head to look at the boundless sky, full of stars. He could not help but laugh leisurely. After being lonely for tens and thousands of years, I am really looking forward to it. Junior brother, don't disappoint us. Suddenly, Li Bai shot a glance at Li Bai and Miao Su with a faint smile. Then, he resumed his frivolous tone. Third, among the 7 of us, you are the least qualified to say you are lonely. At least you have 7th sister to keep you company. The rest of us are single. Everyone laughed. Yes, third, if you say you're lonely, we will not do it. Li Yifeng said with a bitter smile. All right, you guys are more lonely than me. When Junior Brother becomes a talent and leads everyone to chase away the foreign invaders, I will certainly find a few partners for you guys. Ha ha ha. Xiaoyi Xuan said with a profound tone. I truly hope that at that time, we are all still alive. The battle with the foreign tribes was a life and death battle. Tens and thousands of years ago, countless immemorial supreme Tao elite warriors sacrificed themselves. At that time, there were more than 100 heavenly supreme Tao elite warriors. The genuine supreme Tao warriors were close to 200. In the end, they used the most tragic and stirring method to barely preserve a trace of hope for the Tianxian land. Therefore, even if Junior Brother rose quickly, they knew that there was no reason to be proud. For sure, this battle would be more difficult than tens and thousands of years ago. Of course, as long as their hot blood was not extinguished, they would have hope. There will be 2 more chapters for tonight, and 3 more for today. Thank you for your concern. I feel much better. In the following days, as long as I am not too busy, there will not be a situation where there will be 1 more chapter. To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 889. On this day, Qin Wushuang seemed to have sensed something. Inwardly, he felt somewhat restless. Although he had not reached the stage where he could predict the past and future with a pinch of his fingers, his powerful intuition allowed him to make some prediction and preparation before the arrival of a crisis. This restless and anxious feeling was the familiar sense of crisis he was in the past. The feeling of a sudden impulse caused Qin Wushuang to open his eyes from his training. He sent his spiritual perception, Bao Bao Lone, Fire Kylan, come to me quickly. Currently, these 3 divine beasts were Qin Wushuang's most loyal subordinates. They would arrive at his call. Boss, what's wrong? Bao Bao was the first to arrive in a hurry. Lone and Fire Kylan also rushed over. Get ready. Let all disciples of the Qin clan return to the mountain gate and retreat into the defense zone of the mustard cave dwelling. You must not linger. If you're too far away, avoid the disaster and do not expose your identity. Currently, Qin Wushuang was the god of the Qin clan. As soon as he gave the order, everyone in the Qin clan carried it out immediately. Inside the upright morality hall, everyone revealed a suspicious expression as they looked at Qin Wushuang. Head chief, now the situation is stable and the god-discarding door is about to open. I think no powerhouse will provoke us at this time, right? Qin Wushuang said lightly. It's better to be prepared for a rainy day. Although I cannot judge where the crisis is coming from, my intuition has not been wrong. Upon hearing the words of Qin Wushuang, everyone felt apprehensive. Since the head chief said it this way, he must have his reasons. Not to mention that the intuition of the head chief was never wrong. Even if it was wrong, since he dared to speak, there must be a reason. They must carry it out. Bao Bao chuckled. Boss, could it be that Saberbeard is stirring up trouble? This guy has disappeared for a dozen years. I think he could not endure the loneliness. Qin Wushuang shook his head and said lightly, Now, Saberbeard is a few million miles away from us. There is no sign of him approaching. If it's Saberbeard, there is no need to be so careful. More powerful than Saberbeard? Everyone in the Qin clan had witnessed the power of Saberbeard. In the past, he was on par with Xi and Tianwen in terms of strength. Now that a few dozen years had passed, certainly his strength would increase even more as he strived to become stronger. If the enemy was stronger than Saberbeard, it would be terrifying. Everyone, don't worry. When Qin Wushuang saw everyone's serious expression, he waved his hand and comforted them. Once I refine this cave dwelling, a true supreme Tao expert wouldn't be able to hurt it at all. Even if all the supreme totem elite warriors came together, they still wouldn't be able to break it. Qin Wushuang hadn't said much about the mustard cave abode. At this moment, seeing everyone's strange expressions, he naturally didn't want to cause panic. Bao Bao was full of confidence as he laughed. Yes, don't worry. Without a heavenly supreme Tao expert, no one could enter the mustard cave abode. Back then, Xin Yuanyang had boldly barged in. If you let him try it now, he will definitely be badly battered. Qin Wushuang was still confident about this. This mustard cave abode was refined by his teacher. It possessed vast divine power and certainly would not be a problem to defend against paramount totem elite warriors. This cave abode was set up to defend against elite warriors of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. Currently, at the Tianxian land, besides the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples, how could there be any other elite warriors of the heavenly supreme Tao stage? Perhaps there were, but certainly they were sealed inside the god-discarding maze. Upon hearing Bao Bao's words, those people of the Qin clan laughed. Instantly, the atmosphere became much more relaxed. Just when everyone let out a sigh of relief, suddenly, outside the entire aspiring throne mountain, a burst of gigantic pressure pressed down as if the sky had collapsed. Boom! Without any warning, a wave of pressure formed an attack that could destroy the heavens and the earth, and heavily bombarded the outside of the mountain gate. They only heard the explosion of mountains collapsing and the earth splitting in all directions. Everyone immediately looked outside and saw that the continuous high mountains surrounding the aspiring throne mountain had been blasted off by a burst of gigantic power. It was as if a divine sword had shaved off a few hundred meters. Instantly, terrifying cracks appeared between the mountain ranges. The initially continuous mountain ranges had directly revealed deep canyons. All disciples of the Qin clan jumped up from their chairs. Head chief, thousands of pairs of eyes looked at Qin Wushuang at the same time. Qin Wushuang was incredibly calm. He sat on the chair that symbolized the heavenly emperor and said lightly, "Everyone calm down. No need to panic." Currently, Qin Wushuang kept refining the mustard cave abode. The defensive range had extended to 1,000 miles and almost covered the entire core area of the Qin clan. Although it had not reached the highest level of 3,000 miles, the depth of such defense was enough to allow the Qin clan to be extremely carefree. Kid of the Qin clan, Qin Wushuang, right? Get out here. A piercing voice shouted without restraint and spread across the entire Heavenly Emperor Mountain for a few 100,000 miles. Such a divine ability was truly terrifying. As soon as Qin Wushuang heard this voice, he frowned slightly and gave a long sigh. Indeed, as I expected, it's the Golden Crow. Upon hearing the words Golden Crow, everyone's complexion changed. Qin Wushuang waved his hand and said, "You are all inside the mountain gate. Do what you should do. I will go take a look at the outside and see what this Golden Crow intends to do." Head chief, no. Qin Chongyang immediately objected and shook his head. The Golden Crow is extremely rampant. He even killed one of the paramount totem elite warriors. Now, there's no need for us to clash head-on with him. Qin Wushuang laughed. I don't plan to clash head-on with him. Currently, I cannot beat him. I have this self-knowledge. However, even if we cannot beat him, it doesn't mean we must swallow our anger. After he had finished speaking, he laughed. Bao Bao, you 3 come with me to watch the show. Everyone else, stay here and wait for orders. When they arrived outside the mustard cave abode, the Golden Crow still roared and kept bombarding the mountain gate of the Qin clan. However, the defense of the mustard cave abode was incredibly mysterious. The attacks of the Golden Crow seemed to have smashed onto a sponge as the power disappeared without a trace. It was the feeling of drawing a knife and cutting water. The Golden Crow cried out with a rampant voice, "Qin Wushuang, if you don't want to see the aspiring throne mountain get razed to the ground by me, then get out here. If I'm in a good mood, perhaps I will kill 2 less. If not, humph humph." When Qin Wushuang arrived outside, he let out his voice and sneered, "You feathered animal, haven't you wreaked havoc at the Eastern Sea enough? You came to my Xian Yuan mound to make a racket. Could it be you are tired of living?" Bao Bao also followed to hoot, "Golden Crow, don't take advantage of your seniority. Go back to your Russian Current Valley if you know what's good for you. Or else, humph humph, one day my boss will peel off your skin and pull out your tendons." The golden crow gritted his steel teeth and roared continuously. Qin Wushuang, you have such a big tone. Watch me destroy your orthodoxy today. Let's see how you shoot me with a graceful spiritual bow. Ha ha ha. Initially, the golden crow did not hold a deep grudge with Qin Wushuang. Yet, he held a predestined hostility towards the graceful spiritual bow. Since he hated the house, he also hated Qin Wushuang to the bone. In the past few decades, he had been dealing with those paramount totem elite warriors. Only recently did he run to the Xianyuan Mount. The first thing he did was not to kill his way to the forbidden place of the Xianyuan clan, but to kill his way to the aspiring Throne Mountain. Qin Wushuang sat down lazily at the door and laughed leisurely. Golden Crow, if you have the skill, then make your move. If you can break my mountain gate, I will give you the graceful spiritual bow in the Qin clan. You can take whatever you want. I am just afraid you don't have the skill. These words angered the golden crow greatly as he cried out, Qin Wushuang, don't be complacent. Just with your little defense formation, do you truly think it's difficult for me? Up to this point, the golden crow still thought that this was only the defense formation of the Qin clan. He did not know the miraculous use of this mustard cave dwelling. He shook his body and dashed toward the mountain gate. Qin Wushuang also soared and activated the purple cloud Yin-Yang wings. He hovered outside the cave dwelling and prepared the graceful spiritual bow quietly. Even if he could not beat this golden crow, it would be nice to use the graceful spiritual bow to launch a sneak attack. This mustard cave dwelling had a total of 108 layers of defense, 72 small defenses, 36 major defenses. Among the major defenses, there were 9 super defenses that were equivalent to the attack of an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. 4 such level of defenses, if the golden crow were to barge in by mistake, he would be severely injured even if he did not die. Although the golden crow cried out arrogantly, he was definitely not a reckless person. On the contrary, beneath the rough appearance of this golden crow, he harbored an incredibly cunning mind. As soon as he entered the defense zone of the mustard cave dwelling, he felt that this space was incredibly strange. Vividly, there was a form of strange space rules. Although the Qin buildings appeared to be close, in fact, when he wanted to approach them, he felt it was unreachable. No, this mountain gate of the Qin clan is somewhat strange. During this time, the golden crow had traveled extensively and seen many mountain gates. However, being at the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage, besides needing to be careful when he went to those totem holy places, he could come and go as he pleased. He did not need to be vigilant at all. However, inside this mountain gate of the Qin clan, he discovered the same strangeness as the totem holy place. He could even say that this strangeness was even stranger than the totem holy place. The totem holy place was powerful because of their defense attacks. Each layer of defense was passed down from the immemorial gods era. They possessed astonishing power. Certainly the defenses set up by the heavenly supreme Tao elite warriors of the immemorial gods era could not be ignored by the golden crow. The golden crow began to feel suspicious. Could it be that the Qin clan also had elite warriors at the heavenly supreme Tao stage during the immemorial era? Even if there were elite warriors at the first or second calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, they would not have been able to create such a grand formation. The use of space rules is simply the work of a master. No, the golden crow was naturally cunning. When he saw something was wrong, he became 120% alert. At this moment, suddenly, the golden crow sensed a burst of subtle movement from the left side. Shocked inwardly, he immediately stepped back. Instantly, a burst of powerful airflow attack shot out from the left side. It rolled through the sky and tore the surrounding space into pieces of devastation. This seemingly ordinary attack had actually shattered the void. Instantly, the scalp of the golden crow went numb. Just a little defense attack was no less than the full power attack of a 7th or 8th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. If he were to encounter a large-scale defense attack, he would lose a layer of skin even if he did not die. To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. More chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 890. The Golden Crow was greatly shocked. Before he went up the aspiring throne mountain, he considered countless ways to torture Qin Wushuang and thought of countless ways to destroy the Qin clan. He only thought about how to vent his anger and how to vent his suppressed emotions. The Golden Crow suppressed his anger for tens and thousands of years. In just a few dozen years, he was surrounded by paramount, totem, elite warriors. In fact, the anger inside his heart was flourishing. This time, he wanted to kill the aspiring throne mountain to establish his power by destroying the entire Qin clan. Who would have thought that he would kick an iron plate again? While he was lost in thought, he was tested by 2 attacks in succession. Now, he had not completely penetrated deep into the Qin clan. Therefore, the attacks he encountered were symbolic little defenses on the outside. They belonged to the 7th or 8th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage and did not pose much threat to the Golden Crow. However, if he did not resist at all, it would be enough for him to drink a pot of water. Now, the Golden Crow was completely awake. He put away his previous contempt and carelessness, yet the anger inside his heart burned even more fiercely. That kid Qin Wushuang is acting so carefree because he has such reliance. That slave saber beard is truly detestable. The information he gave me is completely inconsistent with this Qin clan. Inwardly, the Golden Crow was furious, although it was because the defenses of the Qin clan made him feel annoyed. On the other hand, the information Saberbeard gave him said that the mountain gate defenses of the Qin clan could at most defend against the 5th or 6th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. If it was any higher, the Qin clan would not have the slightest resistance. Saberbeard was speaking for a higher position. Initially, when Xin Tianwen attacked the mountain gate of the Qin clan, he was only at the 1st calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. With the help of the Nirvana Heavenly Plow, he could break the mountain protection formation of the Qin clan. Although he almost succeeded, it was not because he lacked power, but because Qin Wushuang came back to kill. If he had given Xin Tianwen some more time, perhaps the Qin clan would have been destroyed by him. Once the Qin clan was destroyed, even if Qin Wushuang possessed divine skills, he would not be able to win the Heavenly Emperor competition alone. Each time Saberbeard thought of this point, he felt incredibly regretful. He felt endless resentment towards Xin Tianwen. The Golden Crow followed closely and slowly swam towards the inside of the Qin clan. Although the prohibition spell was powerful, the Golden Crow was bold and powerful. It felt that it could deal with the supreme totem elite warriors and play with the 6 supreme warriors in the palm of its hand. Even if a mere Qin clan had some miraculous places, what could they do? With such determination, the Golden Crow was extremely persistent. For 7 days and 7 nights, it did not give up. It continued to wander around the periphery of the mustard cave dwelling, looking for openings and openings. Unfortunately, the mustard cave abode was refined by Li Xianfeng. Even if there was a breakthrough, it was not something the Golden Crow could break through at its current level. Until the Golden Crow bumped into a major prohibition carelessly and triggered the attack of a peak genuine supreme Tao warrior. When he suffered some internal injuries, the Golden Crow woke up with a start. He knew that indeed this Qin clan had some skills. For this trip, most likely he would not gain any benefits. According to its observations, although the restriction that attacked it was powerful, it was clearly not the most powerful kind. In this space, there were at least 100 attacks, both real and illusory. There were a few that were hidden deeply. However, the surrounding mysterious feeling that made it suffocate made the Golden Crow not dare to charge in recklessly. Before the 9 major barriers, the Golden Crow only saw a dark and mysterious space. It could not even muster the courage to charge in. Without any other choice, it could only retreat obediently. Since Qin Wushuang was inside, Of course, he could monitor each and every movement of the Golden Crow. When he saw the Golden Crow was injured, he hoped wholeheartedly that the tyrannical personality inside the bones of the Golden Crow would erupt and he would continue to charge and recklessly. Unfortunately, this Golden Crow was incredibly cunning. After suffering some light injuries, it went down the line of fire. It did make Qin Wushuang feel somewhat disappointed since it did not charge in recklessly. If this Golden Crow were to charge in recklessly and get attacked by the super barriers, even someone as powerful as the Golden Crow would certainly nurse a grievance. Even if it did not die, it would suffer severe injuries. By that time, Qin Wushuang would activate the other barriers and attack together with a graceful spiritual bow. It would be strange if the Golden Crow was not killed. Unexpectedly, this Golden Crow was unusually cunning. After suffering some losses, it turned around and retreated. It was not as swift and fierce as its appearance. Qin Wushuang, who was full of disappointment, could not help but ridicule. Golden Crow, didn't you want to exterminate my entire sect? Why are you running away with your tail between your legs? The Golden Crow suffered a loss and was about to leave behind some harsh words before retreating. Unexpectedly, it was ridiculed by Qin Wushuang. It said angrily, "Kid, come out if you have the ability. What kind of ability is it to hide at home and shrink your head? If you dare to come out, see if I will not twist your head off." Qin Wushuang sneered and said, "Golden Crow, this kind of provocation is very childish. You are an old monster that has lived for tens of thousands of years. I have only cultivated for a few dozen years. I did not use the geographical advantage and used my disadvantage to meet your advantage. Do you think my head was shot by the shooting sun arrows like yours?" As soon as the Golden Crow heard the words shooting sun arrows, it could not help but roar, "Kid, why don't you shoot me with the shooting sun arrows?" Qin Wushuang said lightly, "Sooner or later this day will come. It's fine if I don't draw the bow, but once I open the graceful spiritual bow and shoot the shooting sun arrows, it will be the end of the world for you." The lungs of the Golden Crow were about to explode from anger. Even paramount, totem elite warriors would not dare to speak such boastful words when fighting with it. This Qin Wushuang, kid of the Qin family, was boasting shamelessly. With a sharp whistle, the Golden Crow was burning with anger as it roared, "Qin Wushuang, all disciples of the Qin clan must not leave the mountain gate for the rest of their lives. Or else, I will kill each one of you that comes out. Let's see how many people of the Qin clan can be killed by me." The Golden Crow used all of his divine skills to spread these words out continuously. Across the entire Heavenly Emperor Mountain, this sound formed into bursts of sound waves that pressed down like a heavy downpour. Instantly, the sky of the entire Heavenly Emperor Mountain seemed to have dimmed. "Qin Wushuang, since your Qin clan relies on the power of your mountain gate, I will let you go today. I do want to see if each of the sects in the Xian Yuan Mound have such powerful defenses at their mountain gate. How about the Yun clan? How about the Floating Snow House, the Misty Sword sect?" Suddenly, the Golden Crow roared with laughter. "I heard that the Floating Snow House is the home of Qin Wushuang's father-in-law. All right, I will go to the Murong clan first and kill them all. I will also let the people of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates see that the so-called Heavenly Emperor does not deserve his reputation. When something happened to his father-in-law, he did not even dare to come out to rescue." Indeed, the Golden Crow was cunning as it had grasped the subtle points. The expression of Qin Wushuang changed slightly. He knew that the Golden Crow dared to do what it said. In the past few dozen years, when the Golden Crow had wreaked havoc, all the sects it went to were broken. Once it was broken, the entire clan would be killed without leaving any leeway. Therefore, once the Golden Crow killed its way to the Floating Snow House, the consequences would be unimaginable. Just when Qin Wushuang was about to speak, a cold and stern voice emerged from the distant clouds. "Golden Crow, you are talking big. Whose clan are you going to kill?" This voice seemed to come from 100,000 miles away, yet also seemed to be right before their eyes. Like a sudden clap of thunder from the sky, it rolled continuously from far to near. The fast speed was overwhelming. When the golden crow heard this voice, its expression changed slightly. A strange thought emerged from its head. Who is this person? How come I have never heard this voice before? It had fought with the paramount totem elite warriors for a few dozen years. It knew the voice and personality of each paramount elite warrior clearly. However, the voice of this person did not seem to belong to any of the paramount totem elite warriors. Then who was it that came? The golden crow had a suspicious personality. As soon as it discovered the slightest threat, it would become 120% alert. It knew that it had made too many enemies at the Tianxian land. Once an elite warrior appeared, most likely they would not get along with it. It was not because the golden crow was brainless. Clearly, it had its reasons for becoming enemies with the Tianxian land. The golden crow opened its eyes and instantly, it expanded to a few thousand miles away. Suddenly, its pupils shrunk as it saw two figures skimming over at a speed faster than a shooting star. The golden crow was shocked inwardly. Such powerful temperament. Heavenly Supreme, Tao, elite warriors? As soon as this thought crossed its mind, the golden crow did not even think about it. It activated a strange talisman and disappeared completely from the mountain gate of the aspiring throne mountain. As Qin Wushuang witnessed everything, he did not even have the chance to stop it. As he watched the disappearing figure of the golden crow, Qin Wushuang's expression became even more solemn. It's the same. Indeed, it's the same. The method the golden crow used to leave is exactly the same as Saberbeard. It seems that it is not a method from the Tianxian land. This golden crow must be a spy from the foreign tribes. Darn it, this golden crow has been hiding at the Tianxian land for tens and thousands of years. Just as Qin Wushuang was lost in thought, two figures dropped onto the aspiring throne mountain. One of them was dressed in snow-white robes. With a slight frown, he looked at the mess at the aspiring throne mountain and gave a long sigh. Sixth, we are one step too late. Of course, this person was Hua Xie, the fifth of the heavenly mysterious seven disciples. The person next to him had a young appearance and a natural smile. He was Qi Hengyu. Qi Hengyu said, Fifth, it seems that the death of this golden crow is not today. Sixth, the method this golden crow used to escape was to use the rules of space to escape. It did not leave a single trace. We have no clue to chase after it. Indeed, this guy is cunning, Hua Xie said angrily. However, Qi Hengyu was extremely calm. This time it got lucky. It's impossible for it to not show itself. Yes, since it is here, it seems that it should meet with junior brother. Ha ha. Hua Xie nodded. Just when he was about to speak, suddenly a burst of glimmering light flashed from the mountain gate of the Qin clan. When the glimmering light blossomed, it transformed into a burst of strong light and flew out with a figure. Qin Wushuang, Hua Xie, and Qi Hengyu called out at the same time. You too. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang had some guesses, yet he did not dare to be certain. Haha, I am Qi Hengyu. Senior brotherly Bai often mentioned you. Did he ever mention us? Qin Wushuang was overjoyed. It's sixth senior brother. Then you must be Hua Xie, fifth senior brother. I heard from senior brother that you two are in solitary training. Could be you have finished your training? Although Hua Xie had an indifferent personality, when he saw Qin Wushuang, the successor appointed by his teacher, he showed a pleasant countenance. He nodded. Good kid. Indeed, you deserve your reputation. These few days, the monthly votes are extremely miserable. They have exploded miserably. I asked for the monthly votes shamelessly. The exciting show is about to begin. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 891. Although they had never met each other, as they shared the same inheritance, they found each other very agreeable. Even Hua Xie, who had an indifferent personality, always carried that joyful smile. Not to mention Qi Hengyu, such an elegant gentleman. Since the time was not ripe, it was not convenient for Hua Xie and Chi you to reveal their identity before other people of the Qin clan. Therefore, they chatted with Qin Wushuang for a while and left after encouraging him. When Qin Wushuang learned the intentions of these two senior brothers, he was also astonished inwardly. This way, senior brother was preparing to make a move against the Golden Crow. This Golden Crow has such power and came to show off before my mountain gate, yet I could not do anything to it. Thinking of this matter, Qin Wushuang felt angry. Qin Wushuang had never witnessed the divine skills of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. However, initially when senior brother Li Bai killed Xan Tianwen on the Xianyuan stage, he could see the whole picture through a narrow window. For the Golden Crow, being a divine skill at the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage, Qin Wushuang had witnessed it a moment ago. It truly had the skill to flatten mountains and break peaks. Because of the graceful spiritual bow, this Golden Crow is extremely hostile to me. I cannot keep swallowing this humiliation. The God discarding door is about to open and it will be full of dangers. Even senior brother said that I will not be taken care of in the God discarding maze. This way, in the God discarding maze, everyone has equal opportunities. If I am not careful, I will encounter all kinds of dangers. Upon thinking here, suddenly a thought emerged in Qin Wushuang's mind. No, the future of this trip to the God discarding door is unpredictable. I must explore the 7th loop of the 7 deadly arrays formation. Teacher left a message saying that as long as I have the strength of the first calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage, I can go. Now, I am at the 4th calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. If I am to make it through the God discarding maze, I will not have the slightest advantage when facing those paramount elite warriors. I should see how many fortuitous opportunities teacher left for me at the 7th loop. Regardless of the amount, I will make some preparations. When I arrive at the God discarding maze, I will have more assurance. Upon thinking here, instantly Qin Wushuang had more desire to explore the 7th loop of the 7 deadly arrays formation. Qin Wushuang was a decisive person who dared to do what he thought. After making up his mind, he returned to the upright morality hall. Everyone was still there. They were overjoyed to see Qin Wushuang return. Everyone, there's no need to worry. The Golden Crow has already left with injuries. Qin Wushuang smiled faintly and deliberately weakened the psychological impact that the Golden Crow had on everyone. Hearing the news that the Golden Crow had left with injuries, everyone's expression relaxed. Bao chuckled. Now everyone can rest assured, right? Let me tell you, boss didn't even need to do anything. The restriction of the Mustard Cave abode directly injured the Golden Crow and made it escape. This was because it was lucky that it wasn't attacked by the super powerful restriction. Otherwise, you won't even have a chance to escape. Bao was not exaggerating. Lone also kept nodding as he listened from the side. Qin Wushuang clearly did not want to dwell too much on this matter. He smiled and said, "Everyone, the Golden Crow gave me some hints when it invaded. There are still 3 months before the God discarding door opens. I need to make a trip." "Boss, you're going to that place?" Qin Wushuang nodded. Yes. Upon hearing their answers, everyone had a mutual understanding and knew that they were talking about the immemorial formation. Bao moved his brows and cried out, "I am going. Boss, this time you cannot leave me out." Lone also volunteered himself. Fire Kylan held a slightly lower position than Lone and Bao. Although he did not say anything, the eagerness between his brows had already expressed his feelings clearly. Qin Wushuang shook his head. "This time, you can only bring Bao. It's not that I am biased, but for the last loop of this formation, even if Bao goes, it will be extremely risky. You must at least have the strength of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. For the few of you, only Bao has the strength of the genuine Supreme Tao stage." Bao was beaming with joy and was incredibly excited. He laughed foolishly. Qin Wushuang said seriously, Bao, I can take you. However, I must warn you beforehand that this time, it will not be the same as before. You must listen to all my instructions and not go anywhere without permission. Or else, You will not be able to defend against the shot of those defenses. Bao Bao stuck out his tongue. All right, boss, I've always listened to you. Lone and Fire Kylan exchanged a glance and smiled bitterly. This was something they could not do. Boss was not being biased. Before reaching the genuine supreme Dao stage, he would be throwing away his life if he went. Qin Wushuang said, Lone, Fire Kylan, at the aspiring throne mountain, you must know your place and not run amok. You must listen to the orders of the second and third chief. Don't be cocky, understand? Lone and Fire Kylan listened to Qin Wushuang's every word. Upon hearing his prompt instructions, they did not dare to disobey as they nodded in agreement. After he finished instructing them, Qin Wushuang went back to inform Morong Su and left swiftly. Bao Bao had been training at the aspiring throne mountain for a long time and was rather depressed. Now that he had the chance to get some fresh air, of course he was in high spirits. However, Qin Wushuang did not show off his golden crow along the way. In less than a day, he arrived at the cave of the fourth loop of the Tortoise King Mountain. Through the transportation formation, he arrived at the fifth loop of the endless eastern sea and the sixth loop of the heavenly fire southern border. When he arrived at the sixth loop, Qin Wushuang took Bao Bao and arrived before the stone platform of the transportation formation. For someone as thick-skinned as Bao Bao, he also chuckled and asked with a lack of confidence, Boss, I am not even at the second calamity. This transportation formation will not swallow me directly, right? Don't worry too much. Qin Wushuang laughed. Don't get distracted. I'm going to activate the formation. Bao Bao and Qin Wushuang had experienced this set of procedures many times. At this moment, of course, he was familiar with it and did not act carelessly. No wonder it was the seventh loop. As soon as Bao Bao entered this transportation formation, he immediately sensed a burst of extremely powerful pressure that was completely different from the past. This transportation channel felt as if two giant mountains kept pressing down on him. Bao Bao only felt waves of numbness in his muscles and bones as he felt strangely oppressed. Fortunately, this process did not last for too long. With a rumbling sound, the transportation formation stopped operating. Suddenly, a wave of spiritual light withdrew. A giant stone platform appeared. The surrounding layout was completely different than the layout of the sixth loop formation from before. Qin Wushuang's first impression was that it was very spacious. Initially, the sixth loop formation was also very spacious and had a completely different world. However, the scale of this seventh loop was more than 10 times the size of the previous one. It was a spacious hall, as if it was a grand palace. Inside the palace, rows of majestic pillars supported this golden and dazzling palace. That white, jade-like floor seemed to have congealed a layer of white halo. When one stepped on it, one would feel as if they were floating. Qin Wushuang felt that each inch of this land emitted a burst of powerful spiritual qi movements. With a slight sense, he could sense the rich spiritual qi surging. Bao Bao followed behind Qin Wushuang. While walking inside such a grand palace, Bao Bao's throat also felt somewhat dry. He had changed from his previous carefree personality and said carefully, Boss, there is such rich spiritual qi movements here. If I train here, I will certainly progress quickly. Of course, Qin Wushuang felt the same way. He nodded. This seventh loop is the core of the formation. It's natural for it to have abundant spiritual qi. Previously, Qin Wushuang already knew what the seventh loop meant to the entire formation. It was the absolute core and the essence of the entire formation. The first 6 loops appeared to be miraculous. However, to put it bluntly, they were the background of the seventh loop. They were to set off the seventh loop and prepare for the seventh loop. Compared to the seventh loop, the first 6 loops were not worth mentioning. Although Qin Wushuang was mentally prepared, he still felt his heartbeat accelerate when he walked to the boundary of the seventh loop. Finally, he had touched the core area of the entire formation and was about to unveil the veil of the entire formation. After walking around the entire formation area, Qin Wushuang returned to that stone platform. Qin Wushuang knew that this stone platform was the core area of each loop. He poured in his supreme Dao power to activate this seventh loop. After Qin Wushuang had poured in his supreme Dao power, it was as if a match had been lit and lit up all the bright lights of the entire formation. Instantly, dazzling and eye-catching 5 colored lights floated in the entire space. Those giant pillars also became lively. Under the 5 colored lights, those carvings seemed to be jumping out of the pillars. They were vivid and lifelike, as if they were waiting for the finishing touch to bring them to life. Bao Bao was deeply impressed by the scene before him. He flicked his tongue and did not dare to make a sound. As he looked at this dazzling scene with a solemn expression, he only felt his mouth and tongue dry. It was like a dream. Aha, welcome, lucky one. Of course, at this point, perhaps I should call you my little disciple. First of all, I must congratulate you. It's not easy to reach this step. However, since you're able to reach this step, it means that you've already made many remarkable achievements in the Tianxian land. You've even accomplished a world-shaking undertaking. However, this is not a reason for you to be proud. It's because when you enter this 7th loop, it will be the true starting point of your path as an elite warrior. This was the true starting point. Bao Bao felt dizzy and dazzled when he heard this. It seemed that all his hard training in the past had not even started yet. However, Qin Wushuang revealed a solemn expression as a layer of solemn light enveloped his face. Like a disciple who had received his precepts, he was listening to the teachings of a senior. When you reach the 7th loop, the first thing you must understand is not what fortuitous opportunities one will give you at this level. You should also not stop your gaze on the gains and losses of treasures. Now that you're here, you must first understand the person who set up this rune. If you agree, then I can call myself your master right now, and you must bow 3 times and cow down 9 times to me in the direction facing south of the stone platform to complete the ceremony of acknowledging me as your master. Qin Wushuang was not careless at all. Although he had never met the owner of the 7 deadly arrays formation, his transformation and enlightenment were incomparable to anyone else. Thus, it was natural for him to call this person his teacher. As for this person, he deserved it. When he thought here, Qin Wushuang did as he was told respectfully without hesitation. He bowed 3 times and kowtowed 9 times to complete the ceremony of becoming his disciple. Haha, very good. You not try to play tricks on me. This is a good thing. It proves that this disciple I've taken and hold a righteous heart and is not a sly person. Did you know? If you had been half-hearted and did not perform the ceremony of becoming my disciple, or tried to fool me, you would have been kicked out of the formation and would never be able to enter again. As soon as he said these words, instantly, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao felt apprehensive inwardly. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.